And we're back. I have you guys muted, so I can't hear you talking right now. Or they can't.
Okay.
But now they can. I've unmuted you. Um, so we're back with a new episode of The Scale of Fate. So last time, you all wandered into the city of Pearl Bay.
Pearl Bay.
Pearl Bay, not Pearl Harbor.
Not Pearl
I
Harbor.
almost said Pearl
Hawaii.
Harbor. Pearl Bay. This is what happens when I don't look at my own maps after a week or 2 weeks. You guys entered the city of Pearl Bay, discovering that there was a quarantine of a series of unknown diseases, which most of you got pretty well acquainted with some of these diseases, as you'd either encountered them in the previous city or discovered a interesting creature of almost deer-like stature with a humanoid body, devouring flesh, and had caused weird side effects to you when you were in combat with it. You summoned the wizard Incrus, who brought with him the cure to one of the diseases that's within the town, as well as allowed him to research the skull of the creature that you fought, which he promised to give you more information as he found it. Magnus, on the other hand, did some reconnaissance of the outer parts of the docks, managed to steal away one of the sunken ships. Not really a ship, more of a boat. And dragged it.
Not really steal. I think he had salvage rights.
Sure, let's go with that. And he managed to drag it to the shore a few hundred meters away from the walls of the city to begin repairing it. So, we're going to start with the main party first, where we left off. You guys had just gone in and started, or you had just done a long rest, resting for the night after fighting the creature that you had discovered within the burrow, one could say, of the rubble of some of the buildings, where you assume the half-orc you had talked to the day before had been killed and dragged into, and presumably eaten. You all wake up this next morning, and Draco, you are freezing on the roof, as the temperatures are continuing to drop within this region. The rest of you are within the space, slowly waking up as the morning is beginning. What would you like to do?
I guess we should probably check in with Icarus to see kind of like his progress.
Trinket kind of still laying down, kind of only partially awake. She looks a little more tired than normal, but she kind of gives you a shrug while still laying there, not exactly moving.
No, you don't have to get up right now. I can just go down and talk to him if you're tired still.
She mutters something you assume is like an acknowledgement, kind of rolls over and kind of pulls a blanket over her head and just kind of goes back to sleep. Errol, you're the only other one in the room.
I'll come with you, but I'm not there to talk. I have something else to do.
I'm here to make friends.
I think your journey is saying that as she like walks out. I can picture her mocking him. Just no, I'm not here to make friends. All right, so you guys head out of the room that you've been given. Making your way down the hallway, you do find Incrus in the room you had seen him in the day before doing his research. Upon seeing him, you do notice that he has a few books open on this large desk, as well as the skull now cleaned and polished, sitting not too far from it. Um, he seems to be preoccupied and does not hear you enter the room.
He's on like a table, right? Or he's near a table.
Yes, and the skull is sitting on the table next to him while he's going through several books.
I'm gonna walk underneath the table and tap his leg.
All right, you do that, and he doesn't exactly tense up. He more of just kind of pauses and takes a slight step back and glances down towards you. Just says, "Oh, good morning. Didn't expect to see you all up this early."
How goes the
Um,
science
now-
doc?
Well, I have a mixture of different news about what has conspired. Um, the creature that you fought, based on the knowledge I have and the books that I have at my disposal, seem to have been what is referred to as a Vendigo.
Mm.
And if I'm not mistaken, now I'm getting back into his voice. If I'm not mistaken, it is possible that one of you may have been infected by said creature.
Just gonna look over at Errol, who was possessed by it for a little bit.
Raise my hands in the air. Go, hell yeah.
I don't think that's something to be really excited about, Errol.
I want to catch its soul.
Well, you've got its skull. Why you need its soul?
Reasons.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Capturing of such a creature's spirit may be dangerous and possibly lead to a curse of some sort.
But that sounds like it can be done, just with a little bit of cost.
There's no record of such a thing, but I'm sure it's possible.
Give it to me straight, boss man. Can I catch that thing's soul?
It would be difficult, and you would probably have to find the individual whose the spirit is currently residing in, cast it out via ritual of sorts, and have a place to contain it.
So what you're saying is we didn't actually kill the creature? We displaced its soul?
You killed it, but
Oh.
the spirit remains after death.
My money's on Trinket.
Talking like you didn't get possessed by it and chow down a corpse.
I didn't get munched on it. I munched, was it bitten by it? Yeah, I just ate some flesh. Nothing much.
3 of you had taken severe damage from it.
Wasn't she? Oh, true.
I don't think I'd
Well,
got
alright.
hit. Wait, no.
Journey ran from it
So-
because she was forced to. The rest got stun locked and ended up
Oh.
getting bitten.
At least that rules me out.
So, how do we find out if we're infected? We're gonna have black blood or something? So I pull out a knife. I'm like, I could check real quick.
I would not recommend such a thing. It if the books are correct, and he's kind of scrolling through a book and flipping through the pages rapidly. He says it generally takes roughly 3-ish days for any side effects to appear.
So we got 3 days to kill the rest of them.
Yes.
Or maybe
Possibly.
you, Trinket, and Andraka should spend 3 days in quarantine. It's probably the
So,
easier
so 3
solution.
days to kill the rest of them.
There is a possibility there's others within the walls. Though, based on my knowledge with the books, the chances are fairly low. Generally, one of these spirits tend to avoid one another. Generally, very territorial.
Good info. You mind if I take the skull in the meantime?
Oh, of course. And he kind of picks it up and offers it to you. Just says, after I was done researching what I could off of it, I cleaned it up a little bit.
Appreciate it. Won't get my bag messy now.
It just kind of looks like a deer skull now. It's not. Doesn't look too impressive.
You do notice that the teeth on it are all sharpened, and there are two large upper canines on it.
Ah, it's a deer that went carnivorous.
I'm gonna turn you into a helmet later.
All right. He says, how are the other two of your group doing?
It seems a little tired. She's still sleeping. And no idea how Andraka's doing. The temperature seems to drop lower and lower every night. We're out here in the Outlands. So maybe he's a reptilian popsicle by now.
There is a chance of that. Hopefully that isn't the case. And it just kind of starts closing some of the books and kind of starting to put things away in chest and everything else.
How are the sick coming? Are they mostly healed?
Many of them, there are a few that seem to be experiencing other diseases. Nothing that seem to be altering bodily structures, but
Other afflictions.
mostly things similar to previous plagues.
Well, I suppose that's better than having multiple plague-bearing monstrosities living under the city, spreading plagues.
Yes. The only one that we're really dealing with at the moment is those who contract a certain virus that is currently present get a little hostile with those around them, but when avoided, they don't seem to be very aggressive. Just watch out for anyone who's bleeding from the eyes and ears and mouth.
It's a lot of orifices to be bleeding from.
It's unfortunately a part of the disease. And if you do come across one of the bodies, I would suggest not touching it. The blood is contagious.
Heads up, Doc.
Well, I would hate for something of the sorts to get a hold of you. Considering you've all been very useful in my endeavors in these last few weeks.
One of us are possessed. I think bleeding from our eyes is going to be the least of our issues. Right, Journey?
Right. Well, I suppose we should check in Andraka, see if he's suffering from any symptoms himself.
Andraka, you are stiff on the roof. It is hard to move because you are cold.
Good thing I'm not moving.
Yeah, every muscle in your body hurts from the cold that you experienced the night before. You did not get much sleep.
Journey, do you think we should bring him a torch?
You are slowly being warmed up by the sun, though.
Bring him a blanket.
Okay.
He likes a torch during the day. It's like snowy.
Are you guys
Way
going
to
to try to
warm
make
up.
it to the roof of the hospital? Or what is considered a hospital?
Daryl could just fly up there and drop it off, probably.
Yeah, I'll just do that.
So you're taking him a blanket?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's too early in the morning for parkour.
Actually, I want to see that.
I don't think Journey's much for parkour.
Real.
That is true. I would be entertaining watching the bard trying to climb the roof.
So I guess Andraka,
Well,
you
unless it's
noticed
heavily
as
dexterity based, in which case I have 16.
it's not too bad. It wouldn't be as good as a monk's, but it would be pretty good. Andraka, you are greeted by the presence of Errol as he
Oh,
appears.
can I go up to him with the skull on my head?
Sure.
This one's go boom.
Roll a stealth check to
Welcome
see if
to
you can
hell.
sneak up on him. Jared, what's your passive?
10.
You got to beat a 10.
22.
Yeah. So you sneak up on him and you jump out in front of him and do your thing. How does Andraka
Hello,
respond?
traveler. I am the gatekeeper to hell.
My eyes do not move because I know that is a lie.
I came here to drop this off. Figured you were cold. Oh, by the way, one of us might have a spirit of a Wendigo inside of us, but like we don't have to worry about that for 3 days.
I just stare at him.
Lizard man, don't say a word.
Cool. I'm gonna go see if I can find someone to pay us. Good morning, I guess, and then I'll just hop off the roof.
Are you doing it like the videos of like pigeons and stuff, just jumping off? You don't ever see them open their wings because they do it much later, but it's just like it looks like
Yeah.
they're jumping to their death.
Just hop off.
All right. So you reconvene with Journey.
Was he alive?
Hey, for the most part. If by moving, no, but like he was looking.
Well, there's that.
I informed him about the whole, one of us may turn into a deer thing in 3 days, but
Oh dear. No, maybe you should, reconsider going into quarantine.
for 3
You know.
days.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's not even a full quarantine. Real quarantine's like 2 weeks. This is just like a tritine.
All right, I'll do that, but I need to go check on that cave real quick.
I'll come with you.
All right. Should we let Trinket know about the whole possession, or?
Yeah, that seems wise.
Again, it's not certain it's me yet. Just because I ate some dead corpses doesn't mean shit.
Does that imply the existence of living corpses? I guess that's a politician.
You guys fought
I'll go
undead
talk to Trinket.
creatures. There's clearly living corpses. You already fought zombies once already.
Well, they cease to be corpses if they're alive. They aren't dead.
All right,
I
walking
don't have time
cadavers.
for
Is that better?
hypotheticals.
The walking cadavers.
Walking-
I want that to be
Yes.
a thing. Can someone make that a show for me?
Sounds like one of those like knockoff shows like you see in the background of like an actual show.
That's what I want. That's what I want. I want this to be like a spoof that's like terrible, but it's so good at the same time.
No more mid 2000s spoofs, please.
Those were the best spoofs.
Scary
Disaster
movie
was a nightmare.
3.
Scary Movie 3, the disaster movie. Starving Games. They're all so good.
No, they were pain. They were pure pain.
I love these cheap, like, $10,000 budget movies that are total garbage, but they're so good.
Don't forget Meet the
2000s
Spartans.
spoofs were fucking
Huh?
horrible.
Meet
Oh,
the
God.
Spartans.
Meet the Spartans. I forgot about Meet the Spartans.
God, I wish I could have forgotten.
Great movies, great movies. Let's continue. So you guys head to the hole that you had found the day before.
This one does.
What are you looking for specifically? You just wanting to look at the hole?
I'm gonna go in it.
Okay, so you enter the familiar space. The smells from before coming back to you as you enter into the burrow that you had found. There's not much that seems to have changed within space as you go in.
God, I wish I could forget that odor too.
Hey, look, there's the bodies I was eating. Is there any like adjacent tunnels leading out of this main area?
No. You could tell this was a one-way in, one-way out type deal. This clearly was the home of that Wendigo you killed.
Is the main body still there?
Looking about, the corpse of it is gone. In its place, there is the silhouette of a charred outline of it on the ground, but there is no like bones or flesh or anything remaining.
There's no ash, nothing.
Well, that's ominous.
I was gonna come back to get some like samples, but looks like it's gone. That's a little worrisome.
Yeah, especially if like there's a rampant soul moving about. It's not fun. And maybe that skull's a Horcrux. Maybe you gotta smash it and it'll like destroy it or whatever.
Chad, what are you doing?
Try to break my Horcrux. So help me. Alright, well, it was worth a shot. I want to see if I get some meat. Not to eat or anything, just like examine. Alright. You want to see if we can get paid for this? We could like
Sure.
leave out the part that we snuck into the quarantine zone.
Fine. It's fine.
All right, we're gonna jump to Magnus on that note real quick. Magnus, you wake up about mid-morning after your long night of dragging boats and doing other such things. Sins is not too far from you. Seems to have built a small fire that he has kind of dug into the sand and has kind of produced a cover for it so that the smoke doesn't rise from it, so nobody notices that he is there. And he's kind of has his back to you, just kind of sitting there next to the flames, fiddling with something within his claws as you are rousing.
How big is the damage to the hull of the boat? Like anything that the only damage I care about is what makes it sink. That's it.
There is a significant hole in the side of it. It's probably a good 4 or 5 feet wide. That's within this, something went through this boat, and it went through at a fast pace when it did.
Okay. I'm gonna swim back to the port. I know what I need now.
So you just get up and just walk off?
Yeah, it's just get up, walk into the water.
Sin just kind of glances over and watches you do this, doesn't say anything. Just kind of quietly shrugs and watches you walk off. What are you trying to get from the docks?
I want to find a ship of... It doesn't even need to be of similar size. I just need to find a ship with an intact, portion of the ship where that damage was on mine. Because I want to cut out a 6 foot by 6 foot square of that same portion and take it back with me.
Do you understand how boats are built? Just out of curiosity.
If it sinks, I don't care if it sinks, man. I just need to take that portion.
This is
to Magnus, it doesn't matter if it sinks when he does that.
That's not the problem I'm having. You're trying to cut planks from this thing, from another boat. It's bugging my brain. Because there's a logic there and there's not a logic there at the same time, and I'm fighting both ends of it. Okay. Roll a perception check. I don't know. Like, I get the logic of, like, if I take this much and put it on there, yeah, it's going to work. But my logic is the boat is made of planks that has a sealant between the planks that's going to disappear when you take apart the planks. But
Oh yeah, I mean like that's why I'm saying a 6 by 6 square, because I mean if like the sealant between those planks is all right, that's I mean that's cool. But if it's not, it's also cool. Um, perception.
mm-hmm.
Uh, 21.
Okay. Looking around this dock, you do find a couple of ships that do have decent amounts of wood that could be taken from them. The planks do look pretty thick on most of these, as a ship should have thick planks making it up. You do also notice there is movement within the water that is staying just far enough from you that you can't ID what it is, but there are things swimming around nearby. And whatever they are do seem to be watching you.
Yeah, okay. I mean, like if they don't bother me, I won't bother them. So like, yeah, it can be a sunk ship, it can be a ship that's floating. Doesn't matter. I just need to find one. Um,
Well, you have a few choices. It's like there's the two ships that have most of the guard on them, like a lot of guards on them, and seem to be like
I mean,
a housing place right now. And there's
I would rather,
few that are like half sunken that do have like a decent portion of them that would like work for what you're possibly wanting.
I would rather actually those half sunken ones. Would I be able to get into their hulls without leaving the water?
There's like one or two that you probably could.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna check those first. Ship hulls usually have like extra like planks and boards and materials to repair them. Like, check that first. Shit.
Okay. Roll an investigation check to go through these two uh, partially sunken ships that you seem to have pretty decent amount of hull damage.
19.
Okay. Entering the first one, you do find that this first one seems to have been mostly stripped clean. It seems when this one was sinking, there were people like dragging stuff off. There are a few items here and there, a couple of broken barrels and things of that nature. You'd also find within this hull um, these odd growths within parts of it. Almost a greenish, like a blackish green, like substance that produces these almost dark orange spheres that seem to be extruding from it.
Staying away from that shit.
You notice that there's a decent amount of it within this boat, like in the ship, in the darker sections of this wreckage.
No, I don't want to be near that shit.
Moving to the next one, you do find, as you go through, you do find that this one has less items taken from it. There are a few barrels that seem to be filled with like mead and rum that seem to be floating about in the area that seems to still have air within the pockets. However, in this ship as well, you do find more of that growth, and around a
Yeah.
space where there is what looks to be a couple of like decent planks that seem to be out of the water. The growth is around the portion of the ground that you would have to pass through in order to get to that spot.
I'm gonna go back to cutting out a portion of a boat.
Okay.
Yeah. I would rather if it was one of the sunken ones, but I mean like if it's one of the ones with guards on it, I don't care.
Okay. As you're moving out of the ship, you do hear within the water, you do hear things moving around nearby that seem to, as you glance towards them, duck behind bits of the rubble and other things. Some strange creatures that seem to be nearby, and they seem to be producing these odd growls and clicks under the water as you are moving about. Uh, you do get a decent look at one. You do notice these dark scales and a few of them seem to almost glisten this almost like a sunrise orange a little bit as they shift below, like out of sight. But they seem to be not keeping as much of a distance as they were before, but they're watching you very intently right now, whatever these creatures are.
I still don't care. So I'm just gonna get the 6x6 and get out of there.
Okay, so you move over to one of the sunken ships. I need you to roll. What check would this be? Because you'd have to be somewhat precise, but you're also breaking through wood. This is a hard choice. Let me look through my okay, Trinket's dead on my screen. I just closed your character sheet. God damn it. Fixed it.
Rip.
Did not mean to hit the X. Let's say... Let's say a straight dex check. Because you're going to have to be somewhat precise with this. You are using your strength, but you have to be somewhat precise not to accidentally splinter or break the wood beyond being able to use it.
$22.
Okay, it takes a bit of time to do this. Carefully kind of slicing through the wood and taking your time on it. The creatures around seem to be watching you intently. You still hear the clicking and the growling. Roughly about the point that you are about to get this thing done, you do hear the water around you start to shift just a bit, and as the wood comes loose, you do feel something rush towards you. Because these creatures are not trying to be stealthy.
I'm gonna go into a rage.
And I'll have you roll initiative. Well, you'll go into rage on your turn, because I was going to say roll initiative. I gotta write some numbers down real quick. I broke my pencil.
That's a 16.
A 16.
Wait, actually, no, I have advantage on initiative, so I have to roll again. Yeah, 16.
I'm going to roll a couple of these and just pair up creatures here. Okay. All right. Well, as you get this wood undone from it, two of these creatures come rushing from the depths and do manage to strike at you before you are able to react. What is your AC?
19.
One of them does manage to get a bite attack in on you. The other one, however, does not. And you take... If I can find my dice, the right one. 12 points of piercing damage as one of these creatures bites into your leg. The other one you manage to swipe at, and it kind of dodges from the attack. It is now your turn. As you turn towards these, you see these 5 lizard-like creatures darting around in the water around you. All of which seem to be eyeing you with these almost hazy, grayish eyes.
Yep. So I'm gonna go into a rage.
Okay.
Now, let's see. I'm gonna attack the one that bit me.
Okay,
21 to hit.
that hits.
Okay. 15 slashing damage. Oh,
All right.
I keep forgetting about that wonderful psychic damage. I need more d8s. There we go. It's gonna be an extra 8 psychic damage.
You said how many slashing again?
15 slashing.
15, 8, 23. Okay.
Then it's gonna be a 24 to hit.
That hits as well.
All right. It's gonna be another 15 slashing and 12 psychic damage.
All right, you carve through this first one as it screeches in pain. It's darkened blood, kind of spreading through the water, obscuring your vision a little bit, as it's making it difficult to see the others. The next one is going to attempt to attack you from above. It is going to miss. And next one, coming from below within the blood, is going to land its strike. And is going to do 12 points
Oh, wait. Hold on. Sorry. Fucking almost fucked this up. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 25 armor class now.
still hits.
Okay.
And it does 12 points of piercing damage. The next one is also going to hit. And I'm going to throw my dice on the ground. And it is going to do 9 points of piercing damage. As these two manage to get a chunk. One bites a chunk out of your arm, the other one gets a hold of kind of around the ribs. The one who initially bit you is dead. The other one is going to try to slash at your face, which you can visibly see, so it doesn't have advantage. And it's just barely going to miss. It is now your turn.
I'm gonna move out of the cloud of blood.
Okay, you will
What
proc an
can
attack of opportunity on 3 of them.
Okay, they still have to be a 25 AC.
One of them does hit and manages to bite you. And is going to do 14 points of piercing damage.
I think you accidentally found Cthulhu.
These aren't Cthulhu. Cthulhu is an octopus, not a lizard.
Okay. Gonna...
Not Atlantis.
Same difference.
Same difference.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep fucking attacking them.
There's really not much else you can do.
Swear to God, Dread, if we find your body floating in the water.
So, 19 to hit.
That hits.
Alright.
There's a reason I've thrown these in a swarm instead of, like, a single one. They're not very strong. I can just throw a bunch of them at you and I know it'll be fine.
They're a lot stronger than you think. It's called the action economy. 13 slashing damage and 3 psychic damage.
Okay.
26 to hit.
That hits.
Let's see here. 17 slashing damage and 10 psychic damage.
Okay. It's another one dead as more blood begins to disperse through the water around you.
Yeah, even if I average 1 kill per round, these things are gonna kill me.
I was rolling high that last turn. The next, so that's 2 dead. There's 3 left that you know of. The other 3 are going to attempt their attacks. I'm just going to roll all of their attacks. Only 1 is going to hit and is going to try to slash at you.
Wait, shit! Almost dropped my D8. Let's see. 26 AC now.
That still hits. I'm rolling one. There's always one that rolls really high. The rest are rolling decently high, but not high enough.
Right.
It is going to do 6 points of slashing as it claws at you and manages to scrape you in the chest. Not really digging too deep, but it does dig in a little bit.
All right. Let's see here.
What are you at by chance, HP wise?
61.
Okay, you're not doing too bad.
The initial attack I didn't get to have, which was annoying. Let's see. So that one that hit me, I'm just gonna start hitting it. That's gonna be a 20 to hit.
That hits.
Let's see
You're
here.
way over their AC. Their AC is not that high. There's a
13
reason.
slashing damage and 10 psychic damage.
Okay. About the amount you did on the first guy in the first hit.
Then I crit. I'm gonna attack a different one.
Okay. Roll some dice on something real quick.
See, where's the extra dot I need for this? I need more d8s. There we go. 18 slashing damage and 18 psychic damage.
Okay. It is still alive. The one that you hit the second hit with. Moments. So as you were fighting these creatures, at first you don't notice it. You begin to hear shouts above you though, somewhere on the docks. And as you strike at this creature, one of them is as they are going to attack you, which they do miss. You hear a loud bang come from the surface before some sort of projectile comes through the water and passes by you and these creatures, because my roll on this was not very good. And there's several more shouts coming from above as well as footsteps, and you watch as these creatures, using the blood and their ability to blend into the darkness, begin to dash in every direction and try to disappear.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna grab that 6x6 and also disappear.
Okay. So
Yeah, that's like in 6 seconds. That's 80 feet under the water. So
yeah, that's gonna miss too. So yeah, another one of these projectiles come flying through the water, passing you as you manage to cling on to the piece of wood, a little bit damaged from the fray, but nothing too bad, and manage to drag it off elsewhere. We're gonna go back to the party. Errol and Journey. Were you guys heading back to the hospital at the end of the last little encounter? Or are you
I
guys
believe
gonna
so.
do
We didn't really
okay. So
find anything in the cabin.
as you guys go back, you do, in some distance away, you do end up hearing a couple loud bangs as Trinket comes exiting the hospital, looking a little more lively than she was when you first saw her this morning. She kind of gives you a half-hearted smile, Journey. Looks between the two of you and just says, "So what's the plan?"
One of us is possessed, and we'll find out in 3 days. But I kind of want to get paid for, all of us almost dying.
When you say the first part of it, she freezes up, tail stands up on end, hairs on the back of her neck seem to stand up on end. Everything that would happen to an individual upon experiencing like a moment of fear, all of it happens to Trinket at once. And she is standing there, like eyes wide towards you, and just says, "Possessed?"
Gee, way to break the news to her gently, Errol.
You think I'm a people person? I'm an owl.
Oh, I'd be out of a job if anyone else here is a people person.
It's not all bad, Trinket. I mean, Doc said that once we start showing signs, we could try to take the spirit out of us, but I'm gonna try to put it in a skull.
Oh, I guess that's better news. Though I'm still afraid of one of us is infected with some sort of spirit. It can't be good in any kind
It's
of way.
a pretty reasonable fear to have.
At least we're not dead.
Well, other
Andraka
than
maybe, but
that news, what is the plan for today then?
Well, in other news, the body of the creature we killed yesterday is rapidly decomposed, so that's fun.
Part of me isn't surprised, considering we
It's
fought
probably the part of you that's haunted by the Wendigo. Ooh.
She gives you a look like a bit fearful and a look kind of like, please don't joke about such things.
Sorry. Sorry. It's been
Errol's just gonna chuckle.
She says, so are we just, is the plan just to sit in these walls for 3 days and wait this out, or are we trying to do anything?
I mean, Doc says he's doing pretty good with whatever plague this creature brought to town and has identified the other diseases being spread around as previous as plagues that he's encountered before, so hopefully he has a cure for those as well. I think it might be prudent to, I don't know, maybe catch up with Magnus if he's still around, especially if we're going to be spending 3 days here.
That could help. Do any of us know where he is?
No, didn't he walk like outside of town or whatever? If he's trying to get back to the meat grinder or whatever, he's gonna need a boat.
Weren't there shots over by the shipyard just now?
I believe so.
I wasn't really paying attention.
I'm not entirely certain.
Well, guess as a heroic band of heroic people, we should probably see what the semi-heroic town guards are shooting at.
Sure.
I'm gonna trail behind them as they go, and then try to sneak off and go find that map earlier with all the locations of the book I'm missing.
I was kind of, as we're leaving, I'll look up at the building and go up. Andraka, you coming? No?
By this point in Draka, you've warmed up enough that your body can move again.
I say nothing.
It just.
I'll take the silence as a.
We'll come
I guess
back
I could
for
really
him.
only take it as a no. As a no? Okay.
We'll come back
Holy
for him.
What if the guards rolled so bad on their perception they thought they saw a sea monster?
You know, I was rolling like 20 different checks while you were talking and fighting. That I've been like checking what the guards were doing the entire time. It's fun stuff. Anyway, so the two of you head to the docks, not realizing that Errol has disappeared along the way. Upon getting there, you do see several guards kind of moving around the ships. A couple seem to be on one of the docks, kind of looking into the water. Roll a perception check, actually.
Perception check.
Perception.
20. Dirty.
Right, you would notice that the water, parts of the water are a bit of this blackish red color.
Blackish.
Like some liquid has been dispersed into the water.
Okay.
Trinket kind of, you see her eyes darting between the guards and kind of, she looks a little uneasy around guards, but you're not entirely, like, the reasoning, you're not entirely sure why.
She's a thief.
Okay,
make
you
my own
do know.
assumptions
Yeah,
there.
you did that. Sorry. I apologize for questioning your intelligence. I didn't mean to, I swear. But yeah, you see these guards kind of moving around. There's a couple that are just doing their normal patrolling, things of that nature.
Does the black fluid lead anywhere?
It just seems to be like kind of in parts of the water, but you don't see anything other than this very dark red liquid, almost blackish red.
Does it look anything like anything's moving under there?
From what you can tell, no.
I'll just approach one of the guards.
All right. Which guard particularly? Are you looking for one that's just on patrol, one that's standing in one spot, one that's... Because the ones that are directly accessible to you are ones that are walking patrols or standing guard by the docks, keeping people from getting to the docks.
I'll do the ones on patrol.
All right. As you're kind of coming up, you do see what look to be two human guards dressed in their plated armor, both holding, or both with swords on their sides and shield in hand, kind of moving about. They both kind of notice you and kind of glance to one another and begin. They kind of change their path to approach you and begin moving towards you.
I'll just wave to make it obvious that our intent is to speak with them.
They come up and at first they don't. Neither of them say anything. They just kind of stop about roughly 10 feet away from you. One of them
And I cut my hands like, "Hi, have you seen a Goliath about on my tippy toes this high?"
No, we haven't seen any Goliaths around here. Who might you be? Because you do not look like someone we've seen moving about this town.
Oh, I've been helping the doctors track down leads on the plague.
Oh. I guess that's good news to hear that there are people helping with that. What can we help you with? And they do kind of step a few steps closer. They're trying to keep somewhat of a distance because, you know.
Plague.
Yeah.
Quick question: what's with the? I'm assuming that's blood. The blood in the water over there looks pretty recent. We heard shots ring out from town and came to investigate.
There were something moving about under the water, some sort of brawl between some creatures of the aquatic type.
Did you see where this might have went? Like, assuming you didn't kill them all.
Unfortunately not. We only noticed the blood, so we started, shooting to get them to leave.
Fair enough.
We have an issue with a few of the creatures that dwell about these parts. They very much enjoy the wrecks that we have around here.
Yeah, they're quite luxurious. Thank you for your time.
Gives you like a nod, kind of semi-bow, and keep
And I'll
moving on.
turn to leave. And I'll lean over to Trinket. It's like, Magnus totally seems the type to brawl aquatic predators, doesn't he?
She gives you a nod. And kind of glances back and kind of like takes in the scene a little bit before she continues to like follow with you.
Well, not much of a lead.
Unfortunately not. Errol, what were you doing as you departed from the rest?
I was going back to get the map. Forgot I had it on me.
Yeah, you have it on you. If you were splitting off, you were going to go look. I had assumed you were going to go look at one of the places.
Yeah, I was just gonna go check the other X's that we had marked, where people went missing. I'm gonna go adventure that area.
Okay. You go to one that's more in the kind of residential-ish area. One of the areas, though, that most of the buildings have been boarded up or seem mostly abandoned. Kind of walking through this area, you do see several people that are kind of curled up in corners and trying to stay out of sight of people, some of which do have a decent amount of blood excreting from certain orifices.
I'm gonna get off the ground.
All right, so you take flight and kind of keep your distance from all of these people. Some of them eyeing you
Yeah.
with these like blood red eyes and everything else. And upon reaching the point, you do notice like this area. There are quite a few what can only be described as remains, bits of bone that have been broken. There's pieces of decaying flesh in very small quantities strode about in certain spots. There's an arm or two that seems to be in the process of decaying. Other
You said an
limbs.
armor?
Arm. It seems that this is a place that individuals have been either killed and torn apart or died here and then were scavenged upon by creatures or individuals within the proximity.
So I'm gonna stealth up real quick. While I'm doing that, is there any like black blood around? God, I got shitty stealth rolls.
Do you like landing stealthily, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Try to like on one of the. I'm assuming rooftops are still intact.
I wouldn't say you need to roll. Yeah, you don't need a stealth check for that because there's no one that's really going to be
Oh.
trying to catch you while you're up there. On the roof, you don't. There's no black blood on this roof.
Is there closer look at some of the limbs? Is there any black blood coming out of those?
There are one of them seems to have a darker set of blood, but you don't know if it's just been there for a while and coagulated or if it's infected. You do also notice that some distance away from this little area where there's a lot of these remains, you do notice there aren't many individuals around the spot. There's like maybe one or two that you can see from where you're at. You do notice that there is an area that seems to have what looks to be roughly about probably 20, 30 feet from the spot. There is an area where there is rubble and there is a series of these stone pillars within the space that seem to be the only thing remaining within this rubble. Some of these pillars do have some of the debris cleared out from around them. But from where you're sitting, there doesn't seem to be any significant markings on them. But it does look like a spot that has been traversed before.
Hobble over. Little owl walk on the roof towards that direction.
Okay, you moving closer, you don't really notice much of anything different.
I'm gonna go land down there.
All right, you make your way towards the spot, moving into this little area. Roll a perception check for me.
17.
17. All right. Moving into the space, you begin to look around at these pillars and the debris and stuff, and as you're passing by one of these pillars, you hear a strange kind of scraping noise, and you turn and notice that one of the pillars has shifted slightly, almost as if it turned towards you.
I don't like that. Fuck it. I'm gonna take like a step closer, but like cautiously checking it out. See if it does anything.
You just take a step closer. Nothing happens for a moment. It is silence. You are staring at this pillar. And then it just almost lifts slightly off the ground and begins to rush towards you. And I'm
I'd
giving you a
take the
chance to
air.
react before it gets to attack you. Because you
Yeah,
did
I'm gonna-
notice it.
I'm gonna, I guess, kind of in like stepping backwards while also taking flight, just dash back essentially.
Okay. Roll a dex check against the creature. Or this thing.
Be acrobatics or
You could. It would just be a
Straight dex.
straight dex check. So what's your dex modifier, and you just do that.
23.
Okay, yeah. You dodge as this pillar rushing towards you seems to try to slam into you. You narrowly avoiding it and making flight so that you get just high enough from it. And you watch as it easily clears out the rubble in part of the space before stopping after you've gotten out of its attack range. And it slowly makes its way back to where it was, positions itself, and looks as normal as any of the other pillars in the space.
Does the pillar have any markings?
It
I
is
could check to-
exactly identical to the other ones.
What?
It seems
There's
to
no-
be it looks, when it's not moving, it looks like a normal stone pillar within the space.
How was it moving? Like, did it all of a sudden grow legs? Or
You
was
saw
I
it
able to see
lift.
that?
You saw it lift a little bit off the ground, maybe an inch, and what you could tell was whatever was down there was making it move quick, and you could not exactly make a good look of it, but you could tell that it was moving by something underneath it.
I'm gonna get some height, right? And then dive down and try to kick the pillar over.
Roll an attack roll.
That's a thing? What? Oh, just like a okay. Yeah, I'll be using. Would that be unarmed strike then?
Yes.
Okay. Oof. 15.
You just break its AC, so roll damage.
Shit, 6.
You slam your foot into this thing, and it's like kicking an actual stone pillar.
Yeah.
It kind of it does crack a little bit, but it's not a lot of damage. The pillar itself does not tip. It seems to hold strong to the spot that it's in. It does immediately after, though, that you do make the kick. It does shift a little bit, but it was not from your kick.
Okay. Oh, there's other pillars nearby, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of these pillars around. There's like a couple of pillars around.
I'm gonna go perch on the other pillar real quick and shout out and be like, hello, can I help you?
You land on this pillar and kind of watch this one pillar that now has a slight crack in the top of it. It doesn't seem to respond.
Is someone under there?
Nothing.
Hmm. There's nothing else around this area?
Just rubble and the bits of flesh and bone that are in that one spot that you noticed.
Alright. I'll pull out the map real quick. Mark this location.
Okay.
I'm gonna go check out one of the other ones.
All right. I'm gonna jump back to Magnus. I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do full 360s here and go around to each people because everyone seems to be doing stuff. Magnus.
He'd just walk out of the water holding this thing of wood. He'd toss it on the sand in direct sunlight, like near the ship, and he'd walk over to Styx and just be like, "We're going for a walk."
Where might I ask?
We need to find a plant,
What kind of plant?
some kind of cactus. Their blood is viscous enough to temporarily create a seal for these boards.
All right. Lead the way. He kind of gets up from his seat, kicks a little bit of sand over the fire that he still has set up, and
Yeah, can I just use like a survival check?
yes.
Yeah. It's gonna be it's gonna be 18.
Yeah, it's not hard to find a cactus. You're in a desert.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. Just use the axe to shave off the needles, and then just take the cactus.
So yeah, you end up. It takes you about probably 2 hours to get anywhere that there. You have to walk a decent distance from the city before finding a couple of cactus here and there. With that survival check, I will allow you to, without taking any damage or anything from these cactus. Plus, you're a barbarian. You have tough hide. You do manage to kind of begin the process of like skinning these cactus and pulling from them. Can you roll me a perception check?
The cactus is alive.
Another 18.
Another 18. You get the sensation of something watching you somewhere nearby, but you can't quite pinpoint exactly where, as you're kind of looking about.
Yeah, while Magnus is just dealing with these cacti, he just says, "Sticks."
And it's Sins, by the
Keep an
way,
eye out.
not Sticks. It's Sins.
Since just keep an eye out.
All right. He kind of a little more vigilant than he was before, kind of glancing about the space. All right, so yeah, you do collect your cactuses. It takes. I'm gonna say to do this and do it right, it probably takes you an hour to get what you need, because skinning a cactus takes a long time. I wouldn't know this from experience. I would just expect such a thing to be that way. But you do end up collecting enough of this cactus flesh. It's the only way to describe it. And beginning your 2-hour walk back towards your boat that has been drying in the sun. Now
It's boring, but somehow less dangerous than what these guys have been doing.
What do you mean? I'm fighting a pillar.
Yeah, a literal stone pillar. Journey and Journey and Trinket, I guess, because Andraka, do you have anything you want to do?
Yeah, I'm gonna walk around and find some people that look like they see a lot of people.
So people with eyes.
Yes, people with eyes. Perception check, my guy.
It's obvious that Andraka does not know how to
3.
work the same magic as Magnus.
All right, Andraka, you get off the hospital and you're kind of looking about for a moment. And there's a moment that just you blank out. You don't know how to do anything for a moment. It's just kind of like you're not able to process where people might be, and you kind of turn to the hospital and you notice the doctor's inside, and that's really it. Those are the only people you have found.
All right, I'll go find one.
All right,
I'll have to be an introvert.
Yeah, you go into the hospital with the doctors that you've seen a number of times now. The human wearing the plague doctor mask, the others wearing kind of another individual. I think it was another human wearing a plague doctor mask as well. The others wearing kind of face coverings. Who would you like to approach?
The closest one.
All right, it's an elven woman who's got a face covering on. You approach her. She's kind of standing behind this little desk space and kind of glances up at you, recognizing you, and kind of gives you a warm smile, kind of as one does in this kind of line of work, trying to comfort people.
I just show her the picture and ask if have you seen this person?
She thinks for a moment, kind of jumping around different thoughts, and she says, there might have been an individual who passed through here not too long ago, before this whole plague thing began. The face does look familiar, but I could be mistaking him for someone else.
All right, I'll just go to the next person.
Go to the next person. All right.
First, you don't succeed. Exhaust all your options.
I'm gonna roll a couple dice here to see if anyone knows exactly who you're talking about. Because I'm gonna roll for each of them. There's two. There's two that know exactly who you're talking about. One of which is the human with the Plague Doctor mask who kind of took lead after the half-orc disappeared. Taking off his mask and kind of holds a hand out almost to like ask to take the picture. Do you let him take the picture?
Reluctantly.
Reluctantly. He looks it over closer and kind of takes in the details for a moment, kind of hands it back to you and says, that individual did pass through here. I believe he was going down to somewhere in Tiberia, he mentioned to me. That dog scared the shit out of me. Wasn't ready to hear chains rattling. It's not the sound I'm supposed to hear. If I'm remembering correctly, he was trying to, I believe, get down to Malport? But I could be entirely wrong. He did speak of a couple of other towns, POTUS, Frost Peak, and Glacier being three that he had mentioned of being a possibility.
Names. Slowly.
POTOS, Frost Peak, Glacier. Is that slow enough?
What was the first one?
POTOS.
Like before POTOS?
Oh, Malport. Malport was the one that he pretty sure this is where he wants to go, but he mentioned the other three as like other possibilities.
Okay, continue.
He says, hopefully that helps you. He showed up just, part of me, and it could just be paranoia or trying to find a reasoning for all of this, but part of me thinks he's the reason this plague had begun, because it showed up just before he left.
Did you notice if he was wearing any ring?
I'm pretty sure he was missing one of his hands. I didn't see a ring, but it did seem... he was missing a hand, and there seemed to be a stench of almost rot on him.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps you with whatever endeavor this is for tracking him.
Yes. And then I'll toss him 100 gold. And go on to the next person.
He just goes,
the Magus.
yeah, he just goes, oh, thank you. The next person gives you a very similar story. The only thing they confirm is the person was interested in getting to Glacier, but it wouldn't be possible due to the nature of the city.
Did they notice if he was wearing any rings?
They mention, I'm going to add this, they mentioned that he had spoken he had actually spoken to this individual and mentioned that his troubles began with a ring that he managed to get rid of, but the troubles seemed to follow him.
Did he mention where he got rid of the ring?
He mentioned he sold it to a tabaxi by the name of Reginald.
Okay. I toss him 100 gold and walk away.
The man happily accepts. All right. Fantastic. Back to Journey and Trinket. What would you like to do, Journey?
Hey, Trinket, have you seen Errol?
He seemed to have run off when we started going this way.
Of course.
Seems to be the type to wander.
No, I don't really want to wander around a plague-infested city more than I have to. Maybe want to stop back at the hospital. Maybe Andraco's up now.
That could be a
Strength,
possibility.
strength in numbers and all that.
I would have to agree with you. I'm accidentally giving her an accent. I'd have to agree with you. And you guys head back to the hospital. About this point, you do find Andraco walking out the front doors, as he had recently spoken with individuals within the hospital.
Andraco, what's up? I see.
Stare.
Typical response.
I'm probably putting away the photo at this point.
Yeah,
What you got?
yeah. I
What
assume you would be doing that.
What you got there?
I just stare at her.
If you go silent, I just automatically assume it just stares. All right. Trinket kind of shakes her head and kind of glances over into the distance and just turns back to you and just says, "Have you seen Errol?" Don't
No.
know. Okay. And he's
Have you seen
wandered off
Magnus?
elsewhere.
No.
Well, it seems we know where no one is. This is
Hey, I guess you could always deploy your familiar to look for Magnus. He's pretty obvious to the eye.
that. I can't believe I forgot about him. She snaps her fingers, and once again the hawk appears before her, landing on her arm. And she kind of, for a moment, just kind of pets it, kind of stroking the back of its head before kind of tossing it into the air and it flying off. Turns back to you. Just says, well, we should probably find Errol at some point.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas where he might have gone?
Well, when you were asleep, we investigated where we fought the creature yesterday. It's possible he might be doing some follow-up.
That would make sense, yes. Do you want to try to find him, or do you want to just wait him out?
I don't know. What are you doing, Andraka?
Staring.
I'm staring off into the distance, thinking. I am not listening to either of whatever you guys are saying.
Are you saying that in character?
That's what Androck is doing.
No, yeah, he's not playing Hawks. He's not describing everything he does like Hawks did. Trigger kind of leans over to you and just says, "Did he just turn off again, or is there something different?"
I don't know. I peg him as somebody to whom actions are more important than words. Obviously, being a bard, that's a completely foreign concept to me. So let's go look for Errol.
All right. I guess lead the way. She kind of just follows you. We're gonna jump back to Errol real quick. You going to one of the other sites, Errol?
Yeah. I swear to God, if there's more pillars.
Killer pillars.
I'm coming back for the other one. Don't you worry.
Don't you worry. I have some beef. That's straight up what I'm hearing. Um,
Yeah.
all right, you go to the next site. This area where this other doctor or this other individual had disappeared, which is one of the last ones, other than or not one of the last ones, but one of the other big marked ones on the map. The area seems to be a lot more lively than some of the other ones. The people in this area, though, a lot of them don't seem sick anymore because of the cure that they had received recently. You do notice that in this area, though, there are a few within the space. You notice that there are a couple of drainage kind of almost sewers, I guess you would call them, that seem to lead underground of some sort, but you can't see very deep into them. And they do look just large enough that a individual could shimmy their way in. There are a few of these within this
Dark?
area. It is very dark.
Alright, just gonna land shadow step into the drain.
Okay. You enter into this drainage space. It is a very confined space.
How
It's
much
probably
room are we talking?
we're talking like 3 feet of standing room. Like even you,
literally my height.
even you have to crouch just a little bit.
Because you're wearing a helmet.
Oh, I don't have it on anymore. No,
Oh.
it's in my bag.
Though in this space, I need you to roll a perception check.
Please, no. 18.
There's a very familiar scent within this space. One, not quite of decay, but of a foul, sickly smell. Something that you experienced when you were back in Mirage.
God, fuck. Okay.
And the smell here is a lot stronger than it was in Mirage.
See, usually I'd go back, but I have to be in character. So, Arrow's gonna check both ends of the drainage. Do I see any turns?
This drain seems to be a one-way trip downwards.
Downwards.
Like it's an
Which-
incline and it's going down at like probably roughly like a 45 to 50 degree angle. Like you are you are in the one spot that's kind of flat and then it goes deeper beyond this point.
Is it like wet in here, or
It is extremely wet and there's a mix with this disgusting smell of like disease and wretchedness. There's also the smell of, piss and
yeah?
waste and other such things. This is a sewage drain of some sort, probably. And it does seem to go like deep into the kind of the sandstone that seems to be located underneath, like the actually rockier parts underneath the desert type deal that this city seems to be able to reach.
Okay, I'm gonna stealth up before I go deeper. Is that fun?
You're like at the opening, like you're like just past the opening of it.
Yeah, I don't want to draw any attention on the way down, though.
Okay.
Do I need to do that? I
No,
don't know if that's necessary.
In this space, you don't need to. No one's really paying much attention to this spot. You'd be able to easily do it.
Okay. I'm gonna cautiously make my way down.
Yeah, so you slip in, and go deeper.
Yeah. As I'm making my way down, I want to pull out one of my daggers and just make a little arrow, like notch it into the wall, an arrow pointing back up, just in case, like, I'm mentally impaired.
Roll a stealth check because you will need to do it as you enter the space.
First one is a 26. A 23, so 26.
Okay, so you descend into this cavern, or not cavern, this little tunnel system, and as you get deeper and deeper, you probably go roughly 100 feet under the ground before it bottoms out and comes to like a ridge and opens up to this large space. And with your dark vision, you would be able to see there are multiple individuals within the space. All with that similar, very grayed out skin that seems to be pale. A lot of these individuals seem to be docile and kind of prone at the moment, seem to be kind of laying in the fetal position. There are a few that seem to be moving about, crawling on all fours. And you can hear the sound some distance away of something, because this cavern is huge underneath the city. You do hear the sound of something tearing into flesh somewhere where you can't see. Kind of like
How many
gnashing on it.
individuals can I see right now? Sorry for interrupting.
Like 20.
The delay.
In
Jesus.
your line of sight, there are about 20. You assume there's more based on the sounds.
How big is the cavern, like height-wise?
Roughly, probably you are about 20 feet off of the bottom where these creatures are, or these individuals are. There's probably another 10 feet above you, so it's about 30 feet tall.
Would it like silently take flight and just stick to the roof of this cavern?
Okay, as you are moving
Making my way.
As you are moving about, nothing seems to notice you. I'm just gonna keep your stealth check because you would be keeping that pretty much. You moving about, and as you get a little deeper in, you do notice that there are some bodies that have been dragged in here, clearly not living anymore, and some of these individuals, which you recognize being split from the top of the head down to half down way down the torso, seem to be tearing into these corpses, kind of
I
pulling chunks
recognize
out
the
of them.
corpse.
You do not recognize the corpses, but you do recognize the individual, like the creatures that are the individuals that you were seeing that are strode about this place.
I'm assuming it's more of the... Quick question, any of them have deer heads on, deer skulls?
No, they are the ones, is the same creature
Yep.
you saw in Mirage.
Yeah, I was just double checking.
And
Okay.
you see there are 3 of them currently actively eating. And there's a 4th somewhere off to the side that doesn't seem like the others, that's instead of the head or the body splitting down the middle, the head splits like a flower into 4 different like jaws. Similar to the Demigorgon would be the only way I could describe it in Stranger Things.
Like a flower head kind of deal. Mm.
And
yeah,
it's kind of like off to the side, kind of like resting, but it's active at the same time, unlike the others who are just kind of laying on the ground. And you do notice the individuals that are docile, they seem to be shaking a lot. Like they're in a constant, they have a constant shake to them. And they seem to mutter a lot. So there's a lot of noise in this cavern, so it's easy to be quiet.
Yeah, just gonna keep making my way through the cavern, see if I see anything else.
Okay, as you kind of finish your patrol through, you manage to count probably about maybe 40 of these creatures in total.
Shit. Okay.
But you do not notice anything of the Wendigo type nature, and you do not identify any of the corpses they are feeding on, those that are feeding.
I'm gonna go make my way back to the entrance that I came through.
All right, I'm going now.
Oh, wait, before I leave, is there any other entrances to this area?
You do notice that there are a few small caverns that seem to be dug into the sides in a few spots.
Mm-hmm.
They do also seem to be attaching to the drainage systems.
Okay. All right. Yeah. At this point, I'm just gonna make my way back up, and I'll probably just head out the drain.
Well, another stealth check for me, because you are now landing and trying to crawl your way up the edge.
Just exit out of the page. There's the first one, 19, and the other's at 13.
Okay. And now roll an acrobatics or athletics check to crawl up the space, because your wings technically...
I just shadow step my way up.
Yeah, that actually works. Yeah. So yeah, You manage to get out. Nothing seems to notice you as you leave, and you manage to slip out of this drain. No one seems to notice you.
Just gonna put a little skull on this location.
Okay.
All right. At this point, I'm probably gonna make my way over to the other locations.
Okay. As you make flight, you do notice the others seem to be wandering about around this point. They seem to have just wandered away from the hospital, and they are wandering about.
Oh, I see them. They're in range.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. I'll make my way over to them then.
Okay. Move back to Magnus, the cactus skinner. Magnus. As you were traveling back, I need another perception check for you.
18.
You are a consistent 18 boy with these perception checks.
3 12s in a row.
It's actually kind of ridiculous how consistent it is.
Yeah.
You still have that feeling of being watched. And Sins, who has now started to notice it as well, is having a hard time noticing, only because he's a kobold and it is sunny out. Kobolds don't do well in the sun. But neither of you can identify whatever has been watching you from some distance away. You do arrive back at the boat. And upon arrival, you find around the area seems to have had recent movement through it. And you do notice that there is a few marks in the boat, and as well as the sand, and the fire that Sin had created seems to have been thrown up from its resting place and scattered about the sand. Whoever came through here very angrily and then left.
We need to expedite our exit.
I probably agree. I'm not liking this place no more. Been here for 2 months and it's not been like this.
I've been here for a shorter amount of time, and I already hate it more.
Alright, I guess we get started then.
Yes.
I want you to roll. Oh, what shall I make you roll for craft? Technically repairing a boat. You know what? You give me a check, and I'll tell you how good it is. Like, tell me what you want to roll, and tell me what skill you want to try for this.
How about survival?
Sure, I'm making a DC in my head now. Yeah, that sounds good.
Uh, 22.
22. You begin the process of mending this boat, taking the time to try to fit this new wood, new, I'm putting quotations around it, wood around this space, and attempting to seal it. It takes roughly probably 3 hours to get it setted correctly, and you do realize that it will probably take probably about a half a day's worth of sunlight in order to harden to a point that it would be good enough to use. And you know rushing this process would inevitably reverse anything that you've probably done to it by now.
Magnus is just gonna look back over to his kobold companion, just keep watch. I'm going to rest while this sets.
While you are settling down to rest for a bit, you do notice a familiar
A familiar.
Yeah, a familiar tabby-colored, kind of the golden fur hawk flying about that seems to be looking down on you before quickly moving back towards the city of Pearl
Magnus
Bay.
is gonna take a long rest.
Okay, Magnus taking his long rest. The rest of you traveling about the city. Where are you going? Or actually, let's do the encounter of you guys getting together. Errol, you approach the party.
What's up?
So
That's
what do
it.
you what have you been up to? We kind of lost track of you. You know, you can fly and you're small, so it's pretty easy to lose you.
Yeah, that was the point.
Mm-hmm.
I was just checking out the other locations that the doc marked on the map. I'm gonna take out the map at this point. Like, so this one, there's a pillar that has that wants to throw hands, and this one, and I'm pointing to the one with the skull that I drew on it, and I was like, it has a cave in the drainage system with about 40 or so of those creatures we found in Mirage. One of them in particular seems to be different than the others. Kind of has like its head is split instead of its body being split, and it was also active.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't really accomplish much of anything.
Well, I'm gonna go check out the other locations. What are you guys up to?
We're looking for Magnus. Yeah, touch. Try to see what he's up to. Speaking of,
Uh,
has your familiar found anything yet?
He hasn't come back.
Oh yeah. So you don't have a psychic link to the thing. Yeah.
It only works
No, I don't.
at
I
a
don't have.
certain
I don't have a
distance.
familiar, so I don't really understand how that
The,
whole thing
the
works.
link works at a certain distance. I could look within his eyes at any time, but the link, he can only tell me things when he's within a certain range.
should
You know,
probably let the guards know that they need to, I don't know, bomb the shit out of their drainage system at some
but
point.
yeah, we should. We should probably do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's your update. I'm just gonna turn around and go to the other location.
So you're just
I
taking
suppose we
off, or you
should.
walking?
I'm just gonna follow him, honestly, because we're out of range of trinkets. Familiar anyway. So
I got a pillar. I got some beef with the pillar, so.
Is that where you're going first?
Yep.
All right, we're going back
Isn't
to the pillar.
Isn't it awkward when you say goodbye to someone and then everyone just walks in the same direction?
D&D in a nutshell.
Anyway, yeah, we're following you. Strength in numbers as it is.
All right, so all of you managed to get to this site. The rest of you notice the same pillars that he was talking about, not knowing which one is the one that he spoke of.
Can I check to see which one has the crack on the top?
You can see the crack.
All right, I'm gonna point to the one with the crack. That's
all
it.
right.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It looks like a pillar.
Yeah.
So you're being bullied by a rock pillar?
You want to go talk to it?
Not particularly.
All right. Yeah, I'll show you what it does. I'm gonna be like very cautiously move towards it. Just is it what time of day is it at this point?
Mid-afternoon. It's approaching.
Let me check my
it's
sundial.
approaching the evening. Yes, the sundial on your wrist.
I'm gonna make my way towards the pillar, but in a direction that towards like a shadow in the area.
Okay, so you move about. For you, it's not hard to find a shadow because everything's a shadow for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you move along. And you get within about 30 feet of this thing, and it doesn't seem to move at first. It's just kind of sitting there.
Gonna make my way a little closer to another nearby shadow.
Okay, you keep shifting.
I want.
It doesn't seem to move.
Doesn't move.
Mm-mm.
All right, I'm gonna start walking up towards it. Still cautious, but just walking up.
You get within 5 feet of it. Doesn't seem to move.
Man. All right, I swear to God, I'm not crazy.
You know, maybe it has performance anxiety. Maybe the rest of us should just turn around and go do the thing. It's gonna turn around.
Trinket kind of looks.
If it falls on me, will you guys turn around?
Trinket looks uncertain and kind of looks towards Gurney. Looks at you, Errol, and kind of looks towards Andraka to see what he thinks.
I have not been paying attention this whole time. I am still deep in thought.
You've just been following? Yeah, so you've just been staring the entire time. Alright.
Can I try to move the pillar, but from the top, because physics.
Sure, you can try to push it again. Roll a athletics check for me.
And that's just at the attack, right?
Or just roll D.
Is athletics like its own thing?
Athletics
or...
is a skill.
Oh, what?
It's like the fourth skill.
Okay. Cool. Rolling. 7.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to move. It's quite tiring trying to push this pillar, though. It doesn't seem to move.
Oh, I guess this one's a dud. I don't know. Something was here. Pretty sure it was underneath it. Do I notice? Is there any signs of something moving away from this area?
As you are looking around, you're not really noticing anything in the direct vicinity. That's the word. Yeah, that's the word. It's kind of the same as it was. Not really anything's moved. You do notice the shadows around you get a little bigger for a moment. And you glance back to see the pillar tipping towards you, which you do manage to get out of the way without any issues as the pillar hits the ground where you were standing seconds before. And within a
I
moment...
hear this thing.
Yeah, as you guys hear this thing slam and you turn, you watch as this thing rapidly, essentially gets back up. And you can see it lifted slightly off the ground. Some small little appendages coming from the bottom of it that seem to be moving it as it prepares for battle.
You're like, look, I told you, pillar got hands.
I'd like you to roll initiative, if you could. And Drac, I assume you're not paying attention to this?
Pillar.
Dirty 19.
No, the loud boom would have
Brought you back to
caught my
reality?
attention.
All right.
You got a 9.
You got a 9. Roll.
Shitty roll.
God damn, this dice really likes me tonight.
Damn, the pillar got hands.
So you say it's a stone pillar?
So, Journey got a 19. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta roll trinkets. Let me roll our initiative real quick. Everyone's doing better than Errol. God damn.
My +5 didn't help. I literally got a 4. And then with the +5, it's a 9.
All right, Errol.
Upsetting.
This is where the fun begins.
Hey, at least it's not the cavern. I'd take this over a cavern.
The pillar's going to try to jump on you again. It's going to miss as it tries to slam into you. And as you are kind of stepping away from this one, a second pillar begins to rush towards you.
God, fuck.
And the pillar is actually going to slam into you. And it is going to inflict...
I don't have enough. Where's my other dice? There it is.
It is going to do 20 points of bludgeoning damage, and I need you to roll a dex or a strength saving throw.
New dex. That's 17.
You manage to keep yourself from this. As you are slammed backwards, you manage to roll away from it as it tries to land on top of you, causing it to rapidly get back up after you've kind of gotten to your feet again and are preparing for another attack. Jorni, it is now your turn.
I turn around, and I cast Shatter at the 4th level.
How big of a radius is that?
10
10
Yeah.
feet.
10
yeah,
feet?
10 feet.
Okay. What is the saving throw?
Constitution 16, and creatures may have inorganic material such as stone. Roll with disadvantage.
All right. Errol, you're going to have to roll that because you are within the range.
Let's go.
Okay, I'm gonna roll Healing Word as my bonus action if I fuck you
What
up.
is the DC?
DC.
Yeah.
Let's see. You mean the save or the? I'm sorry.
The DC for the save.
Constitution 16.
It's Constitution 16.
Yeah.
And what is the damage?
Okay. Did it fail? It's with disadvantage.
One failed, one succeeded.
Okay.
I shattered.
Okay.
6.
So that means that it gets its that means it fails because it rolled with disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that means this is gonna happen.
I'm waiting.
18 damage.
18 damage. And I assume if they succeeded, it's half damage.
Yeah. If it would be just 3d8. Actually, no, it would be 3d8s.
What type of
half as
damage
much.
is this?
It's thunder damage.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Creature takes 3d6 thunder damage on a failed save, and half as much damage on a successful one.
So you notice as this happens, the pillar that initially attacked Errol, several chunks of it are split off, and it is deeply cracked. The other one, which manages to hold itself together a bit more, does crack quite a bit as well. And it does seem to take a lot more damage from what you did than you initially thought it would.
Okay, now as my bonus action, I'm going to cast Healing Word at the 2nd level on Errol.
Okay.
So he heals 8.
Take 8 points of health, Errol.
Let's go.
Andraka.
Good luck, Errol. I'm casting Shatter too.
Okay. What's the DC?
Such a good spell.
Say 15.
What is it?
Yeah.
Okay, first one succeeds. The second one succeeds. What's the damage? Roll a damage.
Oh,
11.
I swear to
Oh,
fuck.
11.
5.
One of them completely shatters. The other seems to crack further than it already did. And it is severely cracked. It's now Trinket's turn, who is going to, noticing the things you are all doing, is going to weave her hands together, and you watch as she fires 3 magic missiles, which are instantly going to hit. Which are going... I'm choking here. Which is going to hit for... Yeah. Which is going to completely shatter the second one. And you kind of look around the space. You don't really notice anything. Errol, it's your turn. At the time.
Get the heck out of the way, Errol.
Gonna back up. Just go, ow, that hurt.
It's supposed to.
Yeah, the pillars, not me.
So you backing up to the
Max
rest of the
took
group?
those collateral damage.
Yeah, I backed up to the rest of the group.
All right, so you get to the rest of the group and kind of position yourself. 2 more pillars seem to shift and are both going to rush towards the party, one of which is going to attempt to slam into Trinket. The other is going to try to hit Journey. Trinket completely avoids. What's your AC, Journey?
14.
I need you to roll a Dex or a Strength saving throw for me. And I assume Dex is
We know I ain't doing strength.
Yeah, I was going to say, I assume you're going to do Dex.
Ooh, 13. For a second, I thought I got a nat 1.
Okay, so you take 18 points of damage, bludgeoning damage, and you are now restrained and prone as this pillar has knocked you to the ground and has positioned itself on top of you.
That's all well and good. Except I'm going to now cast Hellish Rebuke. Hellish
Alright.
Rebuke. So, let me just roll that quickly. So it's 3d10 fire damage. Sorry, just there we go. So that's 10 damage.
The flames don't seem to do anything, as they seem to engulf this pillar for a moment before dissipating, and the pillar seems just as fine as it was.
Oh, right, rock. My character says that.
Oh, right, rock. The best lines come out of D&D, I swear. Journey, it's now your turn. You are
Okay.
restrained and prone.
I'm gonna cast Dimension Door.
The smartest thing you probably could do in this situation. Where are you dimension dooring?
Nearby rooftop.
Okay, you dimension door to a nearby rooftop. Bam, it's done.
And now I'm going to cast okay, yeah, now I'm at 4th level slots. I'm going to cast first level healing word on Errol.
What's the distance on healing word?
60 feet.
Okay, yeah, you're just close enough because these buildings aren't too tall.
Okay, heal 6.
All right,
Punch the shit.
and Draka, it's now your turn.
Shatter.
All right, roll the damage while I roll the con saves for these two, and Trinket and Errol will have to roll con saves as well. That one passes. No, that one.
Please.
That one passes.
God, I cannot
one
roll
fails.
con save for my life. How much damage?
14.
Good thing I like. Good thing I've been trying to heal you a little bit.
Trinket passes her con save, and it's going to take the 7 damage out of the 14. The 2 individuals that you have cast this on, one of which begins to several cracks form within its form. The other one, several chunks just break off this thing as it gets back up onto its feet, and I'm putting quotation marks around that because I don't know if you can really call them feet. But it is now Trinket's turn, who is going to... She's going to attempt to use inflict wounds upon one of them as she reaches towards the one that tried to hit her. And she is going to miss as she goes to place her hand and it bumps into her, and the necrotic energy seems to dissipate into the air in front of her and disappear. And as her bonus action, she's going to disengage and is going to run 30 feet away. Leaving Errol and Draka next to the 2 pillars that are left. It's now Errol's turn.
What was the one that got chunks knocked out of it?
There's one that's heavily damaged. The other one is partially damaged.
Alright, the heavily damaged one, I'm going to hit it twice with my quarterstaff. So I'll roll for hits. God help me. That was a 12. And
Roll
a
damage for the
natural
second.
20.
So the first one, you strike at it, and the quarterstaff kind of scrapes off of it. The second strike, doing some damage as it produces a few more cracks, knocking a few chunks off of the pillar. You do have your bonus action.
Going to... Is there shadows nearby?
You could try to move to one. You may trigger attack of opportunity.
I can't because I have mobility.
Oh yeah, because you made a hit. You don't trigger attack of opportunity.
Yeah, so I'm going to disengage, hop into a shadow,
And
hop
disappear.
up behind Shirney.
You wouldn't be able to hop up behind her, but you would be able to teleport pretty close to her and then climb the rest of the way.
That works. Yeah.
Okay. Two pillars.
No more shatter.
The two pillars who have only one really target that they can go for, because everyone abandoned Andraka, are going to try to attack him. What's your AC?
17.
You manage to very nimbly pass between these two as they slam into each other and kind of bounce off each other. It's now Journey's turn again, as Andraka stands
Okay.
beside two pillars that seem to have recently run into each other.
I'm going to cast Shatter at the 3rd level.
Roll the damage, and I'll roll their saves. That one fails. Fails.
Do I also save?
Yes, you can roll a save as well.
24 damage.
Yeah, you easily passed that. So you're going to take 12, Andraka. You watch as these two pillars, as this loud pitch noise radiates around Andraka and these pillars. There is a moment as these pillars shake before they explode. Just bits of rock flying everywhere.
I think I killed it. Them.
Do you have anything
Sorry,
else?
Andraka.
Do you have anything else you want to do?
Are there more pillars?
There are pillars still standing around. You don't know if they are sentient.
Should we fight the other pillars?
I don't think you're exactly in the condition to fight more pillars.
I'm gonna go and fight the river. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm gonna go fight. I'm gonna go check the other
I'm
pillars.
gonna go fight the river or some dumb shit like that. All right. Roll an investigation check, I guess. If you're gonna investigate.
A 6. I am blind.
They
Here,
seem
I'll
like,
roll an investigation
they
check.
seem
'cause
like
you...
pillars to me.
Okay. I got a 7.
They're definitely made of stone.
Well, won't cast heat metal on it if I jam something in it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna risk it. I'm gonna make my way towards one of the other pillars.
All right, you mosey along and kind of enter
Journey
the space.
facepalms.
Nothing seems to move.
Hold breath. All right. I'm gonna go check out the dead pillars. See if there's anything sketchy going on the underside of it.
Looking over these other pillars. Roll investigation.
Oh my god, it was almost a nat 20, but it's a 2.
I feel that.
That's how D&D Beyond works. You go over to this pillar. And you kind of look over the bits of rock and everything. You don't see anything out of the ordinary. It seems to be just rock. You don't know what it was or what it was doing, but it seems to be made of rock.
Well, see, I told you guys there was pillars. They were trying to fight. And they did.
Technically.
Mm-hmm. Well, Well, I'm gonna go check this area, see if they're defending something. I don't know what you guys want to do.
Turn to
We could
Trinket.
also go check out the drain, but
Oh, drain. There's a drain. What's going on in the drain?
it leads to a cavern. The drain itself is like 3 feet tall. I had to crouch. But it goes down to a cavern with about 40 of those creatures that we saw in Mirage.
Okay, so we'll have to crawl.
I would rather not do that.
Yeah, Journey, I really thought you were gonna say no, because even I don't want to go there. I was about to suggest the guards just pour like oil
Yeah,
into the
that's a good
drainage
point.
system and burn it.
I am about half dead anyway, so
Around this point, you hear the familiar sound of wings beating and a hawk producing a screech, I guess would be the term. As Trinket's familiar makes its way down and lands on her arm. She kind of mutters between her and it for a moment before turning to all of you and just says, "It seems that Magnus found somewhat of a boat on the edge of the city. Though there was apparently there was someone else out there before he got back. He didn't get a good look at whoever it was. They were pissed when he arrived, and then I don't know. I think Magnus might be in trouble, or could be in trouble."
oh. Why don't we pay our old friend a visit?
Yes, that
I'm
could be a
gonna-
plan. The question is, how would we get past all the guards in the light right now?
I can't exactly teleport myself. Well, not anymore. Right now, at least.
I can turn myself invisible, but that's the extent for me.
I remember when I could turn myself invisible at a lower spell level. Let's see. I'm just gonna walk. I can probably talk my way past any of the guards anyway.
If you insist. She kind
I
of
don't insist on anything. If you want to sneak, then sneak. It'll take a more direct method.
Okay. And she kind of glances to the others to see what their thoughts are.
Not paying attention. Thinking mode.
Back to thinking mode. All right.
He is the Velociraptor.
Yes, that's exact. That's what it. Yes, and Drac has become the Velociraptor. Can we get a
I'm just
T-shirt of
checking
that?
out the site. I'm not paying attention either.
Trinket kind of shakes her head a little bit and just, "I'll follow and just make sure nothing happens." She kind of follows suit with you. The other two, well, Andraka is a different story, but Errol, you do see them starting to walk off towards one of the walls of the city.
All right, I'm still just checking out the area. I didn't follow.
Okay. Andraka,
Well,
are you going to
just
follow them, or are you just
investigating.
standing there thinking?
Yeah, my legs are on autopilot.
Okay, so you're blindly following them. All right. You guys make it to the walls. There are the same guards that you'd seen the first day.
Oh, I'm gonna do something.
Okay.
It's disguise time because I talked to them. I pull out my disguise kit. I put on an eye patch. I use my cloak of many fashions.
Roll a let's roll a deception check plus if you're proficient with your disguise kit.
Yeah, I'm proficient.
I didn't sound so
Let's
certain
see.
of that.
What's up?
I'm gonna check if you're proficient because I want to double check. You are
Yeah,
are proficient because the entertainer. That's right. So you would roll
Yes.
roll a deception check, and then add +3 to it.
Okay, that's 29.
It's impossible to tell you're the same person. Oh my lord. So yeah, you rugged down yourself, make yourself look entirely different. Yeah, so you are now a new person, essentially.
I walk up to the guards and say, "Hello, yes, I am a member of the local Doctors Guild, and I am on a mission out into the desert to find the source of the mysterious plague that's befallen our fair city of Pearl Bay."
Roll a deception
Yes.
check. This is pretty entertaining, so I'm not giving you disadvantage. It's not good enough for advantage, but it is good enough.
26.
Fucking bards.
And hey, that's not even taking into account like Silver Tongue or anything,
Yeah, I
which
know.
would. And I'm on D&D Beyond, so you know it's legit.
Yeah, I know. Fucking bards. All right. They all
Like I imagine my character's kind of like has like a fake mustache on.
yeah, they all kind of look between each other. One of them like getting this ladder, and one of them calls down and says, "Are the other two with you?"
The other two what?
Trinket hasn't turned invisible, and Andraka is standing behind you.
Oh, hello there. Kind of like, oh yes, these are my two assistants. Lizard guy and Catwoman.
Trinket gives you a look, kind of one of confusion and disappointment, and just kind of shakes her head, and then just gestures for you to go first.
Their parents hated them. Terrible names.
She just all right. Yeah, you get out of the walls of the city. They kind of beckon you through. Kind of one or two of them kind of looks you over, making sure you're not like showing any symptoms, and then let you go out of the city. So you are now outside the city. Or you are now outside the walls to then get outside of the city. Errol, what are you doing while they're doing this?
Investigating the pillar site.
Okay, so I'll let you further investigate. We'll talk more about that in a bit.
I'm in danger.
You guys travel. Are you? So I'm assuming you're going out of the city to where Trinket said she'd seen Magnus, or her familiar had seen Magnus.
We're going over there.
Is that your plan?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm asking you. I'm not telling you these
Yeah.
things. I'm asking.
Yeah, my audio cut out for a second.
Oh, okay.
So, I was just clarifying.
All right. So you guys head your way out of the city. She kind of guides you. You do see, after like probably about 30 minutes of walking and like getting to these dunes, you do notice there's a decent sized boat. Kind of would hold maybe 10 people at most. And even that would probably be a little risky. You do notice that it looks to have been recently repaired, but seems to be having to wait. Like, based on what you can tell, it looks rugged repairs have been done to it. And you can't really tell much else from that. But you do know as well, you see a small fire that seems to be partially covered, along with what looks to be bits of ash and charcoal that have been kind of thrown about the sand, as well as a familiar blue cobalt sitting next to the flames, and a familiar large Magnus asleep on the side of the dune.
I'm going to approach this kobold. Say, my word, what a fine ship you got there.
upon saying that, like the moment you start talking, he immediately spins around and is pointing. You find a light crossbow pointed at your face, and he is baring teeth, like he is baring his fangs and is kind of snarling at your sudden appearance.
Well there, dear fellow. No need for violence. My name is Dr. Professor Stanislaus Baraxian. I'm cum laude of the Greyhelm Medical School, and
Trinket puts her hand on your shoulder and says, "You don't need to keep the act going."
Magnus just says without opening his eyes, "If you don't recognize them, shoot."
He sits there for a good 30 seconds before kind of letting out a huff and moving the crossbow down before getting to his feet, and kind of, as he's, without looking away from you, gets to his feet and kind of walks off a little bit towards a bag that is near the boat. But he doesn't say anything.
I'm just gonna take off my fake mustache. Like, Magnus, what are you doing, man? This thing looks hardly
Sleeping.
seaworthy. It's also like the middle of the day.
It's evening.
Look at my sundial. So it is.
I got a word from God. He told me it was the evening, not middle of the day.
I have dark vision. I can't tell the difference.
It all looks the same.
Your raft looks hardly seaworthy. Are you sure you wouldn't rather take like a normal ship? I think we can get out of here in a few days.
Are you opening your eyes, Magnus?
He'll open one eye to look at the ship.
Upon opening your eyes, the first thing you see is Trinket has made her way to stand kind of over you a little bit, and is kind of giving, like, kind of standing over you, kind of smiling a little bit. Her tail kind of flicking behind her. She's kind of smirking at you. She's not saying anything, though. She's just kind of standing there, kind of crouched or hunched over a little bit.
He just closes the eye again and just says, "Field repairs will not be enough for a consistent ship. However, they will be enough to get home."
You're wearing Trinket here, sick. I don't even think I said those words right, Magnus, but you get the intent. You don't have to do this alone, whatever you're doing.
I'm simply doing what is most worth my effort.
Just dredging up a hulk off the bottom of the bay, repairing it, and perhaps not even making it back to the meat grinder.
It will make it back.
Whatever you say. We could very easily just get passage on a normal ship in a few
Those
days.
ships will not leave due to the sickness.
The sickness that we've cured? Do you mean that sickness?
And look at that. All the effort of curing a sickness, and all I had to do was repair a ship.
Oh, it was zero effort on our part. I just sent good old Boltian over to Mirage and got Icarus the Hull's keister down here.
As long as the ship gets to the meat grinder, I have a new ship. Those in Blood Gulch will be able to make it more seaworthy.
Are you styling yourself a sea captain now?
I was before.
That's very interesting. Perhaps you know more about ships than I do.
Half my life in the water.
Sounds like my childhood.
I completely forgot about your backstory. I just remembered it. It all came back at once.
Hey, at least I remember my own backstory.
Yeah. As you guys are having this conversation, you do hear a noise come from the direction of where you saw the Cobalt Sins walk off to. And upon checking on what the noise was, you find him sprawled in the sand, face down, the sand around him turning a bit crimson, as there is a white dragonborn standing over him in plate mail armor, holding a shield and a sword in a scimitar in one hand.
Have I at least gotten a short rest in?
You got a short rest.
It's that bastard!
And you do notice that the sword he is holding in one hand is crackling with electricity, as it had been before, when you previously encountered him. And as he stands over Sins, who just seems to be face down in the sand, he growls and smiles a bit and just says, I've been looking forward to this. And you now notice, I will say this, as you look over him, one of his arms isn't as it was before due to what you believe to be the damage of last time. One of his arms seems to be entirely made of metal. And it has various arcane runes running down it. And it is the arm that is holding the sword at the moment. And I need all of you to roll initiative for me. All of you but Errol. Because Errol is investigating some pillars.
20.
Looking at rocks.
Rocks.
You should open a rock garden.
Go.
Did you say a rock garden?
I am a
'Cause
material
that
scientist.
hurts my soul.
Magnus is already on his, like, because he just heard Journey say it's that bastard, so it's just Magnus is already on
Eyes
his
open,
feet.
you hear a cracking of glass noise.
Yeah, he's already on his feet. He's just, like, fully fucking armed.
And Draka really bringing out the numbers tonight.
Don't say that.
And Journey as
Hey.
well. All right, Magnus, what did you roll?
Crit.
Okay, Magnus is first. Apparently his anger is what fuels his life. And as you all get up and like position yourselves, you do see that a obsidian figure representing himself does appear by his side, and he is standing at the ready, his shield prepared, crackling electricity coming from the sword in his hand. He's prepared for battle.
You said metal arm?
Metal arm.
Huh.
Oh, with arcane runes.
Yeah, covered in arcane runes, and the electricity crackling on the blade is also crackling up his arm.
Can I do an
mean-
Arcana check?
Sure, I'll let you do it before the fight starts.
Eight. Almost got a 18, but it's an 8.
It's a really cool metal arm. You have no idea what kind of magic is allowing it to be the way that it is, but it is a very cool arm. Magnus, you're first.
Oh yeah. No, I'm going into a rage. How far away is he?
Roughly, probably 30 feet.
Okay. Actually, because it's the turn I'm going into a rage, well, he's 30 feet. Well, then, yeah, no, I'm just gonna move over to him. And then I'm going to start wailing on his sorry ass.
Okay.
Wait, hold on, wait. Oh, please say I have that ability and I just forgot. Please, no, fuck. Alright, well, it's just a 27.
That's a hit. Just a 27. Just a 27.
I wish I could. I wish I had an ability that
It
let
was
me
only-
crit on 19s.
Rolling a 27 on attack is the equivalent of saying I killed 27 people. It wasn't that many.
Let's see. 12 slashing damage, 5 psychic damage.
All right.
Partridge in a pear tree.
Then it's an 18 to hit.
That does not hit. He manages to block your second attack with his shield, catching your blade and snarling at you. as you do that, as you swing the attack, and he is going to use his vengeful assault and is going to attempt a single strike with his sword on you due to him getting an attack land on him.
Okay. And that's going to trigger my reaction. So armor class is 21.
21. He barely hits you. And he's going to do 13 plus. So 13 slashing, 3 force, and 7 lightning damage as he strikes you. It's now Andraka's turn.
You see,
I'm actually kind of scared of what Jared's gonna do because the way he's talking.
I don't really know what to do because I don't think I
Okay.
care enough to fight him.
Jared.
I am very, very distracted by.
You don't have to attack. You can just say you're not fighting for now.
Wow, Jared.
Yeah.
I hate your spell list.
I know, me too.
Like you have no balance between like direct cast and like concentration, dude.
Yeah.
Yo, that's gross, man.
Journey, it's now your turn. As Andraka stares off into space, not caring about the fight.
Jared, if you want to half-heartedly do something, I'm totally giving you like dump the highest level burning hands you can. I'm all right with it.
Okay. I'll cast Burning Hands on the white dragonborn.
Okay, does he have to roll a save for that?
Dex 15.
Dex save.
And I got the worst damage.
You got the worst damage? Cock that. That is... Oh yeah, he's got advantage. That's a pass.
Yeah, he takes 3 fire damage.
He does not. He is using shield master evasion. He is going to take no damage.
What? That's the same thing I'm doing. Fuck off.
He is going to block your attack with his shield.
So we both just block the attack.
Yeah, essentially.
Fuck off, man.
His
stand still.
Though his echo is going to explode beside him, and you notice as it does, the bits of obsidian that seem to come off of it seem to cling onto him and almost produce a glow around him. And he... Yeah. It is now Journey's turn.
How far away are we from the gate entrance?
Probably a couple thousand feet.
Okay. Now that plan's out the window. First, just as a bonus action, I'm going to cast at the 2nd level healing word on myself.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll heal 8. Okay, that's all better. And let's see. He's got a metal arm, gotta heat that metal.
He is wearing plate mail as well.
Hold on. Yeah, he's wearing plate mail. Why would you heat metal when you could...
Shatter?
I'm sorry, I'm metagaming. I'm gonna shut up now. I just hate this guy so much. Like
this is the bane of your existence. I've literally built the bane of your existence.
Dude. Okay. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to move away 30 feet,
Okay.
and I'm going to cast Darkness.
Oh god, please don't do that.
I'm just joking, because you're a melee fighter, and that would fuck you over too. Yeah. I'm going to... I'm just looking at my spell list. Cast... what do you think I should cast, Red? You're an expert at this kind of thing.
We're on a beach. He has plate mail.
Oh, I'm such a fucking idiot. I always think about like, oh, what combat spells can I use? But I'm going to cast Suggestion on him.
Okay. What does he need to
That's
roll against that?
Wisdom 16.
Wisdom 16. What would you like to suggest to him?
That he go for a long swim.
Okay. You watch as his eyes kind of glaze over slightly, and he's trying to fight it. And he kind of shakes his head for a moment before not turning his back to Magnus, but kind of backs away from Magnus and is beginning to try to move towards the water. But he can't do it yet because he has to do it on his turn. It is now his turn. Look at that. How amazing. He is going to, because of that suggestion and his knowledge, he is going to use his action to disengage and is going to walk away from you, Magnus. And is going to go 30 feet towards the water. And when he stops, he is going to then, as his bonus action, call forth an echo, which he is going to place between him and Magnus. That is going to position itself and be prepared to fight. It's now Trinket's turn, who is... she is going to run up to... No, she's not. She won't do that. She's going to send her familiar out, who's going to try to fly and use it to cast Inflict Wounds upon him.
Actually, yeah, Trinket would probably know this because magic. Trinket would know not to attack him.
But still, she still misses.
Okay.
So, he kind of swats away the familiar, which kind of gets knocked off course and ends up having to fly back towards her, the spell dissipating into the air. It's now Magnus's turn.
How far away is the shoreline?
Roughly, probably, you drag the boat probably a good 50 feet up the sand because you know that the water rises and because of the tides and then drops down again. Right now it's low tide, so it's about 50 feet ish.
It's about 50 feet. Okay. I'm gonna take a full dash action. I'm gonna take 10 feet to just move out of the way of the echo.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to just walk into the surf with him.
Okay.
I'm just gonna
It is
gonna
now
watch him.
and Draka's turn, which I'm assuming isn't doing anything.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna try and talk to God.
All right, you talk to God. Tell me how it goes. Journey.
I'm using a concentration spell, so I'm not going to cast any magic.
Okay.
Concentration. The only spells that stop concentration spells are other concentration spells.
Yes.
Really? Oh, well, today I learned. So I'm going to cast. I'm gonna cast Lehman's Tiny Hut.
All right.
Oh yeah, that's a ritual. Yeah, you could fucking do that if you felt like it.
Okay,
So yeah.
You're gonna take the next minute or so to cast that.
Well, I'm gonna use my bonus. I'm gonna use Cantrip Masters, who cast Eldritch Blast as a bonus action at the Echo.
Okay. Roll the attack.
And
Does not hit. You watch as
well.
the echo swings at the Eldritch Blast. You have 3 shots, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
So you roll a 3. The first one, it manages to swat out of the way, causing it to slam into the sand.
Two.
Second,
So that's
it
a
just
5.
kind of just shifts slightly out of the way,
13.
and it tanks the last one. Just
Okay.
devours it with its shield.
I shrug, as one does when they strike out, and then I'm going to cast Lehman's Tiny Hut.
Okay.
And I'm just going to relax and focus on this concentration spell to make this guy drown.
The Dragonborn is going to attempt to fight your spell because you get to do that. Can you do that on suggestion? No, you can't do that
Nope.
on suggestion. I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Of,
it just
I'm thinking of
lasts
a
8
charm.
hours.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
of a charm.
It just lasts 8 hours, mate.
So I'm just like sitting in the entrance
I do need
of
to
my
check.
tiny hut in the shade.
I do need to check something on that spell because there are a few little details here and there that can cause him to fight back.
You're trying to find a loophole for your Magnus killer.
Oh no! I'm actually just like I want to make sure because I had a thought in my head and I want to make sure that this
Tyler.
thought.
I was waiting. I was reading the spell description. It specifies that the caster or the caster's companions have to damage the target for the spell to end.
See, I'm talking about something. Do something obviously harmful that will act the end of the spell. Oh, asking a
What's
creature.
so
Just...
obviously harmful about taking a nice swim?
That's
I'm,
nice.
I'm
It's
gonna
nice day
roll
on
an
the beach.
intelligence check for this man because he's wearing 100-pound armor probably,
And with a metal arm.
and with a metal arm. He's not very smart, but let's see here. That's fucking crazy. All the things D&D and Beyond can roll. I'm just gonna fucking go with it. Let's just see what happens. He doesn't break out of it anyways. I rolled a natural 20 for his intelligence check, but he rolled a fucking 12 for his wisdom, so... So he is going to make his way into the water.
I wonder if he has a swim speed.
All characters do. It's half your movement.
No, I mean a natural swim speed, not
Oh.
Yeah.
So he shifts into the water, the electricity beginning to... from his blade beginning to spark off the water around him.
Damn, man just dropped a toaster in a bathtub.
He is the toaster in the bathtub. He is now roughly probably about 10 feet into the water. It's about, for him at the moment, about waist high. It's now Trinket's turn, who is kind of just staying where she's going to go check on Sins, who is still breathing based on what she checks, and is going to try to help him with his wounds. It's now Magnus's turn.
Magnus just...
Oh, wait. I forgot one thing. He did call an echo when he entered the water, and he sent the echo to run the opposite direction from him.
Okay.
It's going to run down the beach, away from the water.
Or if he can replace his echo of himself or whatever.
Yeah, but that would get in the way of the suggestion, because that would mean he's not swimming anymore. You know what? Magnus is just gonna say, like, just get rid of the fucking echoes. And, how far away is it from him?
The echo is roughly, at the moment, probably 50 feet from him.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah, no, because I didn't do anything to keep my rage going last turn. I have to bring it back, and when I go into a rage, I get an extra half of my movement. So I'm just gonna go back into a rage, go over to that echo, and uh, just ruin its shit. Yeah, just gonna ruin its shit.
Roll the attack.
Yeah. 23 to hit.
That hits. You don't need to roll damage because it's an echo.
Yeah.
You do notice the obsidian that comes off of this thing seems to once again go towards him and surround him in it, causing a dim glow around him that seems to be thickening.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. And Draka is not doing anything. Journey's sitting in her tiny hut. He is going to...
But I use I'd like to cast after hearing that the air guy is alive still.
The echo's gone.
No,
wait.
I'm not.
What are you
The
casting?
kobold.
Sorry.
I'd like to cast first level healing words.
All right, you watch
On the
as his
kobold.
roll the health for it.
So he heals 9.
Okay, so you watch as some of his wounds patch up a little bit, and he kind of gets back to his feet.
I'll say, walk it off.
He kind of snarls a tiny bit before kind of rolling his shoulder a little bit and turning in the direction of where Magnus had gone. The Dragonborn is going to continue to move into the water. Another echo appearing roughly 30 feet from him, going towards the town this time. As he continues out into the water and is going to... He's going to stop where he can't touch, but he can kind of tread the water.
Is that his maximum movement?
That would be his movement. All Journey said was go for a swim.
A long swim.
A long
He'll
swim.
be out there for a while.
He's treading water out there, essentially. I'm going to roll something. That's unfortunate. That's going to miss anyways. You do notice there is movement in the water.
How many rounds has it been since he was under suggestion?
This is the 4th round.
Magnus just shrugs his shoulders. Damn, because I don't know if Magnus would know how long suggestion goes, but like, yeah, suggestion lasts 8 hours under concentration. Like, if Magnus knew that, he would just go back to taking his long rest.
Imagine that, like, this guy designed explicitly to kill you. It just stuck out in the water for 8 hours, so you take a nap.
All right, so you're just going to walk away from him?
I mean, it's not my turn, innit?
Yeah. I think you would know how my suggestion works.
Trinket's not doing anything.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm
You would know how suggestion works because I've used it in front of you before.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go to the fucking hut and take a long rest.
Alright. He's gonna take... Alright. As you were walking away towards the hut, you do kind of glance back, and you see him wince a little bit before his form goes black. And you see where the echo was, he has swapped places with it, and the echo vanishes that's in the water.
I'm just looking at him like, you better go back to swimming! Because he's still under suggestion.
Actually, he broke suggestion because he was attacked by something in the water.
Not this pastor, nor its companions.
Mostly made friends with a fish or something.
Magnus hasn't been introduced to these little fun things in the water.
And they're definitely not my companions.
You do also notice that some of the shimmer that was on him before, that purplish glow, some of it has faded. And you do notice a scratch along his plate mail. Along the leg specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I'm looking at him like, better go back.
And he is snarling at the moment. And on that note, it is Trinket's turn, who is going to attempt to shoot a arrow at him because she realizes he's not under suggestion anymore.
Now you're just going against the rules of the fucking.
No, I'm not. You know the things in the water. He broke the suggestion.
The creatures aren't a companion, bud.
It's damage. It's still damage. And
We haven't been
Spell
introduced.
Specifically says it only end. You want me to read it out to you?
it says an obviously harmful act. It doesn't matter. It's anything.
Swimming is not the harmful act, so moving out of the way, that's fine.
Swimming in creature-infested water. Because he's...
Hey, I didn't say where he had to go take a swim.
Exactly.
It's the only
Also-
place for Miles.
Journey
Well,
wouldn't
I'm
know
sh-
that it's dangerous.
Hey, I'm sure that there's a bathhouse in the city. There's also sewers full of monsters that I was told about by our friend Errol.
The swim's not dangerous. The location seems to be.
Oh my god, imagine if you sent him to the sewers and he had to fight those things. He kills them for us.
Is there?
Hey, Tyler, you're the one who's throwing this guy against us, who have used a lot of our expendable abilities. So we're going to work with what we got. And
Yes, I realize this.
Yeah, I didn't.
swimming's not the problem. Location is.
Can I do a? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to. Yeah, no, that's for my turn. Sorry.
It would be it'd be Magnus's turn first.
Yeah.
He's just gonna like go over and like lean against the boat and just watch him and just be like, gotta find somewhere else to swim. Like he doesn't care if he can't hear him say it. It's just like, guess you gotta find somewhere else to swim.
All right, and Draka's not doing anything journey attrition.
I'm going to leave my tiny hut, and I'm
Which
going
would dispel
to.
it.
Yeah, I'm going to start walking towards the gates.
Okay. You were making your way towards the gates. I realize I should have been rolling all of these checks with advantage, which wouldn't have mattered anyways, but still. Ugh. All right. All right, I guess he's going to be moving back towards the water, but let's see here. Thinking out.
I mean, if it's dangerous around here, I guess he has to swim further out into the water.
He's going to move back out in the water, and he is going to summon another echo that's going to be near the land again. He'll get out roughly about 30 feet out in the water again, which is about chest deep at the moment. Trinket just now kind of standing there, kind of watching this. Sins is doing the same, and everyone else is. This goes on for probably about 30 minutes or so.
Actually, if we're technically out of combat, then Magnus is going to like check to see if the repairs have been completed.
They haven't been able to dry completely. They're close, but they're not all the way.
Magnus is just going to get on the ship and like begin his long rest again. Like, man, fucking long rest got interrupted. Ugh. But hey, suggestion lasts 8 hours.
This roughly lasts about 30 minutes, like of him just doing this over and over again. You guys keep glancing over towards him. Roughly around the time that it gets dark, he seems to stop. He's not paying attention to anyone or anything. He's just standing on the water's edge, kind of his back to you all, and is just sitting there, kind of
He's just sitting
almost
there
in a daze,
menacingly.
and he doesn't seem to be moving. He's still holding the blade in hand, and has a shield and everything, but he is not. He has stopped moving, and his echo. He doesn't summon another echo. He's just standing there.
Have I been able to make it to the town gate yet?
Yeah, you would have gotten to the town gate by this point.
Okay. Can I talk to the guards?
Sure.
I've changed myself out in my normal outfit, so I'm the person that I talked to a few days ago who didn't go into the city.
Okay.
And I'll say, hi, I was here a few days ago. Gonna get into the city anyway. I don't know if you could help with this, but our encampment's it's come under attack by this dragonborn guy. He keeps on like summoning echoes. It's really annoying.
He's trying to murder us. And
Yeah,
like,
he's
really
slightly
pushing our
he's trying to
volume.
kill us, and he followed us here all the way from Almoria up north.
The guards kind of look between each other. Different group of guards than you had seen earlier in the day. They just said, "We're not supposed to leave our post. We're kind of we normally we would help, but we can't at the moment due to the quarantine. It's all hands on deck
I'd like
here."
to do a persuasion check.
Oh dear lord! Roll your persuasion check. This is bullshit because I can't win.
Okay, so it's a 4, but because I have silver tongue, I'm going to treat that as a 10, which means 21.
Oh my god!
Oh my god.
There's no point. I can't fight it.
With a roll that good, wouldn't they bring some friends?
I'm gonna say 2 of them have agreed to come with you.
Thank you. I think we've sort of managed to. He's not dead. He's still got very violent intentions. He's just stopped trying to cut our heads off. So, maybe you guys could observe a little bit. Maybe report back to town. That'd be great.
Yeah, sure.
Thank
we'll
you.
check it out. Magnus, or whoever's nearby that wants to check, roll a perception check. As he's
Sort of
the
fucking
Dragonborn is standing on the edge of the water.
Again. 21.
You kind of look in and take in the situation. You realize that there's someone you can't see standing in front of him. As you notice that the water has parted in a weird way just in front of him.
He just yells, "You were told to swim, not speak."
He doesn't respond, as he seems to be intently listening to something.
Oh, great. I guess we're gonna have to get ready to fucking murder him. I was being nice, too. Just tell him to swim. Maybe he'll survive. I can just get on my ship. No, he needs to be...
I'll talk to the Dark Lord Sauron.
Let's talk to the Dark Lord Sauron. So are you approaching him? Is that what's going on?
No,
Are
God,
you...
no.
No?
Fuck, no. Dude, I wanna try to complete this fucking rest, man.
He's just looking over like, this fucking guy, and then turns over.
It's just like, he's used to sleeping sitting up, so he's just ready for, like, if this guy fucks up, tries to just fucks this shit up again, I guess I'm just gonna have to move. And he's gonna look at, Andraka and just be like, if he comes towards us again, didn't I see you gas some people a while ago? Do that if he comes towards us.
I am not listening. I'm still trying to talk to God.
Like he just like, hey, do whatever the hell you want to do, like, after you understand. If he comes towards us, do that weird gas shit you did a long time ago.
Now Magnus understands how Journey feels whenever she tries talking to him.
So, Journey, as you come back, as Magnus is trying to talk some sense into Andraka, you do notice that the Dragonborn has stopped. You left before this happened. He has stopped moving, though. He is standing motionless in front of the water. Not in
Yeah,
it,
as
but
you can
he's
see,
just in front of it.
he's the guy, the white dragonborn right there, who's kind of standing menacingly, looking out towards the water. Now, my friend here, look for the kobold. Hey, could you tell us who wounded you?
The kobold, the Sins kind of looks not awkwardly, but just kind of looks between you and the guards and just says, "It was the Dragonborn."
Yeah, to heal him up, he was bleeding out in the sand. So yeah, I don't exactly know what he's doing right now. I cast suggestion on him so he'd stay out in the water, and that should last up to like 8 hours. It's only been like, check my sundial, about like an hour, I think. And yeah, he should still be under concentration, but he's just kind of standing there. I don't know why.
The guards kind of pause and turn to each other and say, "We'll go check what's going on."
I'd keep my distance. He seems to be able to cast shades or echoes or whatever they're called, and they are still able to carry out seems violent intent, even if he is not.
They give you the two guards give you a nod and they draw their swords and begin to make their way towards him. And you watch as they kind of move towards him. And as they get roughly 15 feet away, a Magnus, where you wouldn't be paying attention because you're taking a rest right now. Journey, though, you see a second Dragonborn that seems to materialize in front of him as one of the guards drops dead on the spot. The other one panics, and before they can react, the Dragonborn snaps their fingers, and you watch as the person vanishes.
Magnus! That bastard brought a friend!
And you see the second Dragonborn that has appeared, who is very similar to the one that you'd been fighting, is looking the other one in the eye and is speaking to him harshly, seeming to be growling and holding him by the shoulders. And the one that you were fighting seems to be listening intensely and kind of just taking it, whatever this exchange is.
Magnus just sits up and he just looks over at Journey. It's just I don't even know why he wants to kill me. It's not like I probably haven't done anything important to him.
You're such a likable guy.
To those I do not kill, yes, I am. Well, okay, maybe not away from home.
You do give substantial tips, I'll admit it. I'm gonna keep the first guy under suggestion. You take out whatever this thing is. It's a Dragonborn.
Move away from the second one. If they stop talking, I'll deal with it.
Okay.
Do you watch?
And he's just,
what are you saying?
He's just gonna he's God, fucking get in the way of his rest again. He's just gonna stand up and he's just gonna watch him because he doesn't fully know what the hell's with the other one, and he trusts Journey's abilities with the first one.
Man just wants to take a fucking nap.
Looking over the second individual, this one's not dressed in armor. You do notice they do have a pair of wings sprouting from their back that are tightly tucked against their back. And you do notice this individual is wearing what looks to be almost a white robe, like a cloak of some sort. That doesn't seem to match this environment, but seems more attuned to the colder climates of Tiberia. And you guys watch.
Wait, hold on. Because, Journey doing all Journey stuff was in another hour. How's the ship looking?
the sun is set by this point. It's not dry. It's needs sunlight to help it dry faster. It would probably be sometime in the morning when you'd be able to do anything with it.
Is it past 50%?
It's roughly past 50%. It wouldn't take too much sunlight to get it to a good point.
Lizard, do you have flames that we can use? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ignored.
All right, Magnus is gonna light a torch, and he's just gonna like use that to dry it the rest of the way.
Okay.
And he just looks over to the rest. You're gonna have to help me push this ship.
Let me get Errol. Don't leave him behind. I think I know what you're doing.
He may fly. We'll stop by the port.
Harold's doing side quests.
Yeah. Let's go to Errol real quick while these Dragonborns are arguing and the rest of the party's like doing shit. Errol, so you've been investigating these pillars for some time. You find that they are just pillars. Like you have sat. Like, what were you looking for specifically? That's what I want to know.
I wasn't even checking the pillars specifically. I was just gonna see like what's around the area.
So looking,
my Errol's assumption is that they're guarding something.
Looking around the space, what you kind of get from this environment, the pillars obviously they chose this spot because they could blend in. As for the random remains that are laying about, you assume it's because it's probably something that was killed by the pillars, and then other things came around and probably picked off of the bodies. Is what you assume.
Oh.
Because there's not much evidence of anything.
How long would that take for me to?
It would have been a few hours.
Oh, it took me to figure out.
Like, you did like a thorough investigation. That's why I'm not making you roll anything. You did a thorough, like you spent the few hours that they were gone. You spent that time doing that.
All right, I'm gonna pull out my map. How many X's remain that I have not checked? I think it should be 2. If not 1.
There was the one by the port that you hadn't checked, but based on what you had heard, guards had checked it so much that there probably wasn't anything there. The other spots you had checked, there was a couple like minor spots, but most of those you'd pass by and they didn't seem to be anything. You've kind of checked the big spots.
Okay. I'm gonna make my way towards the guards at the port.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's the closest one. The closest group of guards I can find.
Yeah. All right, so you go to the port. There are guards moving about, as Journey and them had noticed earlier. Couple guards that are patrolling around, keeping people from getting to the docks themselves. A couple stationed on the docks or in front of them, so to block export. Who would you like to approach?
The closest guard, I'm just kind of wave as I walk over to him.
Okay, so you kind of wave down this elven man, kind of in leather armor, carrying a bow. He kind of looks you over and just says, can I help you with something?
Hey, I've been helping investigate and clean up some of the plague incident here. Just thought you should know. I went to go check out some spots that some doctors had gone disappearing at. One of them were just hostile pillars, but the other one is a drainage system. I'll show him my map. Really, if you follow the drain down, it's gonna lead to a big cavern with about, I'd say 40-ish of these humanoid creatures. They're not friendly. Seems like they've been dragging bodies down there and consuming them. So I don't know what you want to do. Personally, I'm not gonna go deal with that again. I already had our group handled some of these over in Mirage. They're pretty nasty. But Yeah, maybe like burn the sewer system. Flush them out. I don't know. You do something, but it's not my problem. Um, is there anyone in command I could talk to about payment?
Uh, um, give me a moment, and he kind of runs off towards the boat and like actually like gets into the boat, like whatever, like moves onto the dock and then disappears into one of the ships.
Just drop so much information on him.
Yeah, it takes him a good like 30 minutes to come back, and he comes back with three individuals. There's a female half elf with him who's dressed in very nice kind of military type attire. Seems to be of a higher ranking of some of the people around here. Um, there is a dwarven man dressed in armor, also seems to be adorned with a couple of tokens that show his ranking. And the last one is a suited human man who doesn't seem to fit into this bunch, but is here nonetheless. And they kind of come over to you, and the half elf looks you over and says, "How did you come across such information?"
I went there myself.
And
I'm
then
gonna pull out the skull as well while I'm explaining that.
the dwarf looks fascinated by it. The human seems unimpressed. Um, half elf doesn't really respond to it, and she says, "I mean, what enabled you to get this far?"
I'm with a group. They went to go check on a friend. I stayed behind just to wrap things up. Um, the skull is from a creature called a Wendigo. It was living in a different den. We already killed that. This is what remains. You could talk to the Dr. Icarus over in the medical ward to confirm this story as well. We brought it in when it still had flesh on top of it. Um, as for the sewer system, I'm assuming you're asking about, correct?
Mostly, yes.
I went down there and investigated it off of information I received from one of the other doctors, and upon descending down into the deeper part, which I wouldn't suggest you do if you value your life, um, I scouted out the area. There's roughly 40, possibly more in the other tunnels, but they all seem to be connected through the sewer system.
Hmm. We'll have to go investigate that then properly.
I again, if you value your life, I would not. Those things our group had to fight them. They're not something to take lightly.
She kind of gives you a smile and just says, "I'm sure we can take care of them." Kind of as you kind of look into her eyes for a moment, there's like a moment her eyes flash a bit, almost in a way like something that you haven't seen before, almost showing a sort of power that she may have, some sort of arcane ability that she's not directly showing. And she turns to her companions, the dwarf who's starting to laugh to himself, pulling a warhammer off from his that was on his back and kind of grinning. The human kind of looking a bit uninterested, but is going to go anyways. And
Um,
she turns to them and kind of glances back to you and says, "I'm sure we'll have this taken care of."
would you like me to show you the location? And the entrance is about 3 feet tall. Just a heads up.
Ah, sure.
Okay. I'll take him over.
they kind of look over the space and evaluate the whole and speak to one another for a moment before she turns back to you and just says, "All right, well, I think we can take care of this from here." And I think one of my guards did mention you said something about payment. She kind of glances about before kind of reaching into the air, and you watch as she kind of. It almost looks like she pulls what is essentially like a fabric of reality and pulls out a small she pulls open this slot and reaches in and pulls out a small chest before opening it and pulling out a bag of coins, which she drops into your hands, closes the chest, puts it back into the slot, and the little rift that she produced disappears. She just says, "That should suffice."
Well, good luck. If you do end up getting bitten by one of those creatures, they do have a nasty infection that follows. Luckily, Icarus, the doctor, wizard, mage, whatever he is, has managed to cure it. He cured me when I was infected. So, worst case, you could go to him. Um, oh, before you do head down, there was one of them with a flower-ish shaped head. It opens up. Most of them just have a split down the middle, and their mouth can open from there. But the flower one seems different from the others, so don't know if he's the head honcho, but he's a little deeper back into the cave, at least when I checked.
I'll keep that in mind.
You need anything else from me?
No, they should be sufficient.
Should I let the other guards know that you're going down there, or did you already do that before you left?
They'll figure it out. And we'll be back up within the hour, anyways.
Okay. Out of curiosity, I'm gonna wait by the docks.
All right. And you, as you kind of turn to, like, as you're walking off, you watch as she kind of snaps a finger and almost this reddish glow goes around each of them as they slowly kind of float off the ground before each of them take turns flying down into the tunnel and out of sight. So you're gonna go wait by the docks now?
Yep, I'm gonna put the coin bag in the bag of holding and say some prayers for them.
You get to the docks roughly, probably about 50 minutes later. You you do see them walking back. Um, they don't seem to have been torn up very much. The dwarf looks a little battered, but like other than that, he looks in pretty good health. Um, and he seems very, very happy about whatever happened in there. Um, and the human just looks just completely dissatisfied by what had occurred. A little bit of blood on his suit, and he's a little irritated. But him and the dwarf walk past you, and the half elf is kind of glances over at you as she's walking by, and she says, "See, I told you, not a big problem for us."
They all gone?
Everyone that was there.
Well, that should help with some of your missing people then in the city.
And it's much appreciated.
By any chance, do you know when the ships will be able to leave the dock?
Well, with what you and your colleagues have managed to accomplish, as well as the cures that have been getting passed around within a few weeks. We have to clean up this mess and make sure there is nothing that remains.
Okay, that sounds good. Glad to see that the city's getting better, at least.
That it is.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your name?
Sometimes I think you guys do this on purpose.
I am.
Yeah, fuck you,
Every
Tyler.
time you guys find me with it's always the character I'm like, no one's gonna ask about this character.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, Tyler. You throw TPKs at us after we've already dealt with bullshit. We're gonna keep asking names. Fuck
I'm
you.
not throwing TPKs. I haven't party wiped
Two-
yet.
To be fair, a 3-man group just went down there and basically obliterated them without much effort.
This
So,
motherfucker can clean up our entire party while we're fresh. You guys have we have all gone through a couple of combats, and now he shows up. That's a TPK.
She says, the name is Kalistar. Or Kalistar. That's it, Kalistar. I have names in front of me, and I was like, which one? This is the one, Kalistar. Fuck yeah.
pleasure to meet you and to be of service. My name is Errol. Maybe I'll be seeing you around.
Perhaps. She
All right.
gives you like
Farewell.
a slight nod. Just stay safe.
Our group has a tendency to get into shit.
As many do. She kind of turns towards the boat and walks towards the docks.
Sorry. I'm gonna make my way over to the medical ward bay.
Did the group not tell Errol where they were going?
No.
Okay, let's go back to the other group as he's going that way. I thought they did. I was wrong. All right. The rest of you have been watching this.
I've been trying to finish that seal
Yeah.
with a fucking torch.
The others have watched this dragonborn. These two dragonborns argue with one another. The one in the cloak seeming to continuously shoot glances towards your party as they are speaking to one another. And after like a long period, they both kind of stop. And you watch as the two dragonborns kind of walk off to the side a little bit away from the water. And the one in the plate mail, the one that has been the nuisance to you, is kind of set down and is. You watch as he takes the blade and he slides it against his left arm, and it disappears. Before the other one, seeming to scold him for a moment, lets out a sigh. Just kind of shakes its head and is now kind of in not she. It is a she. It is a she. Now that you've noticed, she kind of turns and kind of stands there and takes in the appearance of the group. She's not really moving at the moment, though. She's kind of watching you all. As the other dragonborn's sitting there in the sand, kind of pissed off.
How set is the seal?
You've probably made 10%, 15% progress in the hour. It's getting there, but it's not quite settled completely. It's settled. It's not solidified all the way.
Will it stop water?
At the moment, it's questionable.
Could I help with that?
What do you
If
have that can help?
We just light our torch.
Will that speed up the process?
That would be 2 people doing it.
Yeah,
I'm
it would
asking
speed it up a
Paul.
little bit.
Okay, yeah, yeah. If you want to help,
Yeah,
definitely
see,
do it.
I cast heat metal and just do it that way, but that's another concentration spell.
And this
and
is a
I-
wooden ship.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I cast heat metal on a weapon and then kind of use it to like solder it.
Magnus is just gonna like look over to Trinket and just say, "Write a message and give it. Write a message to Errol. Give it to your familiar."
All right, and she pulls her bag off her back and scrawls something down. And
And also tell him that a dragonborn ganked the 2 front gate guards.
oh, roughly a minute or so after the initial guard disappeared, I forgot he did reappear, and the dragonborn said something to him, and he kind of ran away back towards the gate.
Oh, good. That means we're not guilty of anything. Cool.
But no one's come since that point.
To be fair, I was just gonna go tell the doctor that about the cave and then take to the sky.
Yeah, so roughly about the point that you do get there to the, you're gonna go talk to Igris.
Yeah,
Okay.
just let him know what's up.
So you find him in the usual office space that he has been. Significantly less people coming to this little hospital space that they've created. And he kind of glances back towards you, a little more aware that people are coming in and out, and says, "Ah, I was wondering when any of you would show up today."
I don't know where the rest of them are. I'm assuming they're off finding another buddy, but I just wanted to let you know some of my findings before I go look for them, possibly head out.
You watch as he kind of closes the book he was writing in front of him and turns around. He says, "I would love to hear what you've discovered within the city."
The first area I checked out, there was some pillars that were able to move on their own and fighting us. Hence why I'm all bloody. How much health do I have? I'm still at 18. Um, so that was one area. I no idea what that was about. But the other one was a sewer system that led down into a cavern, housing a bunch of those creatures that had infected myself and Trinket back in Mirage. But it seems that this town's guard elite group, I don't know, 3 of them went in there. They cleared them all out. So those creatures are dealt with as well.
That is wonderful to hear. It seems you have all brought good fortune everywhere that you've gone so far.
Thanks to you as well. Without your cure, this town would still be suffering from the plague.
Well, you were the cause of me being able to get said cure.
At a good cost. A question before I head out, and maybe we'll see you around again. Who knows where we're going? Before you mentioned the Wendigo spirit, that it may appear in 3 days, and that there is a chance it could be trapped. What exactly would we need to trap or control it? I don't know if you have that answer, but
I've been doing a bit of research. The actual process is indecisive. There are methods that I could attempt, but I'm not entirely sure if they would work.
I don't know. Oh, sorry.
The best
Continue.
chance would be probably a cleric of sorts, being able to dispel said spirit from the body.
What would it be possible to put it into an object?
It would, with the proper arcane knowledge, and possibly a bit of help from either a practitioner of sorts or a higher power. Whether that be a creature of greater arcane ability or perhaps one of the gods.
Well, I have neither of those on call, so
Well, I'm sure you all will figure something out. If you are skipping town now.
we've got 2 days to figure this out. Should be fun.
I will say,
Well,
if one of you does begin to show symptoms, do not allow them to eat flesh.
good to know.
Because if they do, the results become irreversible.
Is this any flesh? Like, say we cook a deer or something, or
It will begin with those of. It's generally raw. It will begin
Okay.
with those of the recently deceased, and then it will turn to those of the living.
no, no raw food. Got it. Well, sir, I appreciate all your help. It's been truly invaluable, and I wish you the best luck and prosperity with whatever you end up doing next.
I wish the same to you as well.
I'm just gonna nod, wave as he leaves.
As he kind of says that too, like before you end up walking out, he does pull a vial from his pocket. And he says, "For your travels," and he hands you this kind of greenish potion. And he, as he puts it to your hand, he just says, "It will help with some of your wounds."
Thank you, sir.
And as you walk out, are you going to drink it?
Yeah.
You will get back.
Actually, no. I'm gonna hold off. I'm holding off. I'm not
I
drinking it yet.
just rolled for it. All right, that's fine.
Wasting your time. Sorry about that. I'm just gonna store it because tendency for injury.
Put green potion and then put as a note next to it, it heals 4d4 plus 4.
Okay. Cool.
So as you kind of walk out of the hospital, Trinket's familiar does appear before you with a note in its claw, which upon opening reads something along the lines of their location and that there is a possible issue, but they are not sure at the moment because it seems to have been satisfied? Sated? I don't know the word. Something like that for the moment. I assume you take flight. You're probably going to follow the familiar.
Yep.
Okay, so you're flying back. The others, as you guys are attempting to speed seal this boat, there is probably about 10 minutes passes before Magnus, you feel Trinket tap your shoulder.
Yes.
She says, the new one is coming towards us.
Shit. And Magnus gives the torch to Trinket. Just continue this. If you know any faster way of doing it, do so. And he gets down and he just stands in front of the rest of the party.
Okay, this
I'm
female
hauling ass to get there.
this female dragonborn comes walking towards you, kind of her wings kind of extending slightly, almost to look a little bigger, but she doesn't seem to be acting in a threatening manner as she approaches you.
As she walks over, Magnus just says, I have no problem with you, and before the other one seeked me out, I had no problem with him.
And that is why I am here. Because I've needed him for a while, but his little conquest of chasing you has kept him from me. So
I'm not a man of vengeance. I will not look for him. However, if he continues to do this, I will fight to protect myself.
well, I offer you a proposal. You never go near the town of POTUS again.
I do not know that place.
You had destroyed it before his little conquest began. Passing through there on one of your little raiding adventures before my brother managed to sink your vessel before finding out that you escaped.
To a raider, his band is his family. Your blood killed many of my brothers and sisters. I will not make promises of a place I knew no information of. I still do not know where this POTUS is. I only know of homes of fighters, the sparing of those who surrendered, and honorable deaths for those who chose to fight. I am not a monster, for I know mercy. I am bad, for I do not care about the names of the places I am sent to. I choose no violence because that is the game of children. No, not violence, vengeance. Fuck.
Vengeance.
Yeah.
Vengeance.
Well,
I do not know if I will ever be to that place you speak of again.
then this pact
I do
shouldn't
not
be
plan
any
on it.
issue for you. Because if you never set foot there, he shall never pursue you again.
I do not plan on going to a place like that, but as I have said, I never care for where I go.
She says, perfect. And she, you watch as one hand she flicks her wrist and a decent sized scroll appears. And in the other hand, as she flicks that one, a small dagger appears. And she says, all I need from you is a bit of blood to lock
You
in
do
your pact.
understand that due to my nature of wandering, no matter what, no matter where in this world I go, I will step foot everywhere. You are trying to forge a promise that even without my knowledge nor care will be broken one day.
With this pact, it will make it quite difficult to step foot in Protus.
I am very sorry to say, but I am not exactly one to sign contracts of magic. It is against my religion. The great Brunor almost fell from his godhood due to the contracts of mages and demons. For that none who hail from his lands shall do the same.
She kind of lets out a sigh and just says, all right, fine. She kind of whips her both wrist again, and both the dagger and the contract disappears, and she begins to move away, and she glances back towards you and says, well, on that note, I can't promise that you nor your homeland won't suffer from the things that you may have done.
Our lives are suffering. I only need to live long enough to usher the the souls that your brother has reaped to where they should go.
Then you know of the destruction that's probably fallen in there recently. She gives a slight, kind of almost wicked smirk before turning away from you and starting to walk off.
Yeah. Before you go, could you ask your brother if he's going to continue this vengeance crusade, not to target the rest of us?
She
No.
doesn't respond.
Okay, bye.
And you watch as she walks over to the other Dragonborn, who she pulls to his feet before they both seem to just vanish.
Magnus just takes the torch again. He's going to he's gonna fire harden the wood, and that is literally just pressing the torch against where he wants to heat. And if it catches fire, just tap it out, because I mean that's definitely going to speed up the process.
Okay. As you're doing that, Errol manages to finally arrive. Not a Dragonborn in sight. And
Magnus, you've got a blade, right?
Yes.
Just let me heat it for you. Give you more surface area to work with.
It's fine.
It'll be
And
My
faster.
axe is not larger than a torch. Exposed flame must be used anyway. That's how you harden the wood, with flame. Not heat. Heat just alights it.
all right.
Taken.
As you guys continue, roughly later in the night is when the boat is finally prepared. Roughly about midnight as the peak of the night, and that's where we'll end tonight's session. Oh my lord.
We managed to hold off that Dragonborn long enough for a failed negotiation.
Things still worked out the way that I have intended.
Sounds like your homeland's pretty screwed, bud.
They're a hardy folk.
The next few sessions are going to be so much fun.
Oh, if one of us...
Next few sessions, Magnus is going to die because he's going to be so pissed off he's going to try to kill whoever's fucking with his home.
I'm
Pray to
so
God.
excited. The other party was in a mirror for 2 weeks, so you know.
I'm just hoping that none of us transform while on the boat ride, because that's gonna be...
You're just going to go over the edge.
You know what the best part about this was?
What?
That was a completed arc. Do you know what
Let's
that
go.
means?
Level up.
Every arc, you guys completed arc because you weaseled your way past a lot of my challenges, which I'm not surprised about because literally it's happened every arc so far with both parties, so I just kind of expect it now.
Hold on.
It's just creative thinking.
A level?
Yes, just a single one.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
8th level.
Because I think the other party already hit 8th level.
Yeah, you should probably do your outro so I can tell you what you need to add to my
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So on that note, I'm fucking exhausted. Anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm kind of doing jazz hands right now because I don't know what else to do with my hands. No one can see it. We hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to catch us in the next episode, follow us on Twitch. Turn on those notifications. Join the Discord for a chance to talk to us. Possibly do one-shots with us if we do one-shots. And you'll get updates on there as well. Or follow the Twitter, which I try to keep up with. I was a little late today on the notification about it, but it still happened. And if you want to catch up on previous episodes, we have everything nicely organized on a YouTube page just for you guys. You can catch up on the episodes in order. For this campaign, the Wild West one, which we have labeled as the Con because it was the first campaign, and the Vampire the Masquerade campaigns, as well as one-shots, mini campaigns, and things of that nature. For the future, Tuesday of next week at 8 a.m., 8 p.m., not a.m. I'm going to be at work then, unfortunately. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be doing the Academy, which is going to be a new mini campaign we're doing. Don't know how long it's going to last. If you're interested in finding out more, just join in on Tuesday. That's the way to do it. And as always, hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.